You may know the home of the Cancel This studio is located at the all-inclusive private jet hangar Strategic Air Services. Founded in Chesterfield, Missouri, they take pride in offering a meticulous approach to private aviation through services that fully manage your trip from takeoff to landing. Strategic Air Services is more than just storage for your aircraft. They offer state-of-the-art amenities to its members and guests. When you are not traveling, you have the luxury of enjoying their world-class gym, conference rooms, lounges, and so much more. Strategic Air Services offers an unparalleled luxury experience for all things private aviation. If you're looking for a new place to call home for your aircraft, give them a call today at 636-400-7601. Again, that's 636-400-7601, or visit their website at strategicairservices.net.
If you are having a bad day at work, I can help. Hi, this is Curtis Barks with Complete Auto Body and Repair. We just expanded to Cottleville and St. Peters and are looking for qualified automotive and auto body technicians that would want to work in a climate-controlled environment. That's right, we offer a fully climate-controlled, air-conditioned and heated facility in both Cottleville and St. Peters. Visit us at CompleteAB.com. If it's not perfect, it's not complete. Others can't compete with Complete Auto Body.
Dad, and service!
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixes cars!
Kathy O. Big Strick, owner of Experience Real Estate Partners with eXp, has been one of St. Louis, Missouri's highest selling groups for 26 years running. In that time, Kathy and her team have successfully assisted an incredible 4,000 families. So if you're thinking about buying, building, or selling, be sure to put Kathy's group and their experience to work for you, and you can expect to be moved. Just give her a call at 314-276-SOLD. That's 314-276-7653, or find her online at experience-re.com.
So are you ready to be the grill master this summer? Well, look no further than Pixie Dust Seasoning. Our custom seasoning blends will take your barbecue to the next level. With 9 different blends to choose from, you will have the perfect flavors for any meat or veggie. And the best part is, our seasonings are low sodium and healthy, so you can indulge guilt-free. Whether you're hosting a big party or just cooking a late-night dinner, Pixie Dust Seasoning is the secret ingredient that you would thank us for. So head on over to our site at www.pixiedustseasoning.com to see our store locator, and I'm sure we'll have a store near you.
And when you visit the site, be sure to use the code name VIC so they know you came from CancelThisShow.com. Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, if you don't know, is a family-owned business that has been around since 1994, serving some of the best chicken wings in town, no joke. Also known for their fresh burgers, pizza, and incredible smoked meat. Top-notch happy hour specials are included, plus live music every Friday and Saturday. Oh yeah, you can also enjoy their spacious heated covered patio. It's Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road. Hey guys, welcome in. Happy hump day to our March 15th show, halfway through the month of March. This is CancelThisShow.com. Scotty Gherkin is the Swiss Army knife.
MacGyver.
He does. Has anybody ever called you MacGyver, Scotty?
Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect name. Perfect name.
He is the SA key, the sack, the Swiss Army knife.
The sack.
You're our
Scotty the sack.
That's Scotty
Not such
Gherkin.
a bad name.
Lizzie Sparks in studio, of course. She does all things social media. How are you doing, Lizzie?
I'm having a very good morning.
You remind
like
me of
it.
high school with your blue and yellow.
You got your Faith shirt on. What does it say? Faith what?
Faith over fear.
That's right. Gosh, that's so good.
She reminds.
Easier said than done a lot in life, though.
I think she looks like a Ledoux Ram today.
Or a Francis Howell Viking.
She looks like a Francis
I'm a
Howell
Francis
Viking.
Howell Viking. And I really am a Francis Howell Viking.
You're a Ledoux grad, Tab. You know there's no yellow in the Ledoux Rams. And Tabitha Hassel, Mrs. Sunshine. I'm Vic Faust.
I'm working
Thanks for
on
jumping in. We appreciate you jumping in today for this episode of Cancel This, CancelThisShow.com. Thanks again for jumping in every day as you do. Lots of topics to get into, as we always have. And of course, you guys jump in. You know what we do Monday through Friday, live, 8 to 10 a.m. 8 to 10 a.m. Central Time. You can watch us live, or when we're done, you can watch us on our platform, cancelthisshow.com, all the platforms there, and or listen to us. Take us on the go, of course, in the audio form. I continue to meet people out every night, every day. How do I watch you guys?
Why are you out every night?
Selling the show? That's working my ass
I know
off.
you are. And I've never seen anybody work as hard as you do.
So we can try to take you away.
Literally, as hard as you do.
We can try to take you away from your other jobs.
Yes, my many, many other jobs.
Fighting the good fight when people continue to try to bring us down, because it does happen. People try to do all kinds of things to you. We're just happy. We wish success to everybody out there. This show isn't angry at anybody. We're not ripping anybody else while people try to come at us and take us apart. We just stay happy, positive.
That's right.
We move forward, trying to
Because we
do the
don't care
best.
about them. They suck.
I
Just
like
kidding.
this.
Yes.
All right. It's a Wednesday, so we have Kathy Big Strick coming in at 8:30. I want to talk to her about I know she's got a topic, but I want to be Eric today. I'm going to take over the interview. I'm kidding.
I said, good luck.
I want to try. I'm curious about, she's so knowledgeable with real estate, but getting her opinion, she's a very, very, very versed woman when it comes to so many things. The banking industry, what's happening, consumer confidence, does it roll into real estate, all kinds of things. I know she's not the mortgage lady, but rates went up. I mean, just a lot to talk to Kathy about.
There is so much to talk to her about, because, one of the things I hope that she touches base on is what I keep hearing is the log jam in real estate. And that 99% allegedly of all, and this came out in whatever the PMMS report, which I still haven't figured out what that is, primary mortgage something or another report, where it said 99% of like current homeowners bought, or I don't know, something who recently bought their houses like in the past year, bought it at almost 0% interest.
Correct.
And they said those people will not let go of their homes. So that means they're not going to list their home for sale and buy something else, pay 7% interest.
Why should
rate.
they?
Exactly. So that's going to keep a lot of houses from not coming on the market.
Yeah.
And that's so true. I have a 3%. And so I don't want to sell. And I'd like to have a different house, but I don't want a 7-8% interest
Can't do
rate.
it.
Nope.
Can't do it. Doesn't make sense to. That's what
doesn't.
you deal with what happened, and
Not gonna do it.
Not good.
what wouldn't be prudent. That's for sure. We've got a lot to get into today. We're going to talk about the banking industry continues to give us some issues, unfortunately, and it had been difficult trying to find people to come on and talk in the show and try to get some legitimate, honest answers about what's going on. But
We'll never have any.
Well, tomorrow morning I've got a financial expert.
We'll never have any.
I found him in Omaha, Nebraska. We had to go all the way to Omaha to get somebody that's willing to talk live about what's going on. But you'll enjoy him, so we'll join up with him tomorrow. Financial planner for 15 years, works with a massive business firm out of Omaha, Nebraska. So we'll talk with him tomorrow. When it comes to situations today, we'll get into this Charlie Kirk event last night. And if everybody doesn't think that the woke agenda and those who are coming after you are going away, forget it. They still come. I don't care if it's 50. They're the small groups and they're the loud groups. They're also the violent groups. We'll get into that. Kim Gardner now has a pro bono lawyer from St. Louis and a massive attorney who represented Harvey Weinstein. He also represented her in her
we
case.
know what happened to him.
But, he also represented Kim Gardner when she was dealing with the Greitens case and when she had to go before the Missouri Supreme Court and won. So she has now hired him, but we don't know how she is paying him. But you know how he's
I
being
bet I
paid.
can guess.
What are the
Yeah, I
two?
think
What are the
we
two letters?
know.
What are the initials of the guy who's paying?
GS.
Yeah, that's George Soros.
Or she's handing out personal favors, one or the other.
Oh my God.
Or she's taking our money out of the tax base.
Or
That's what they're waiting to
that's-
see. It's not coming out of taxpayer dollars.
She
is
did
what
with
we're-
Greitens.
That's good.
Allegedly now
Taxpayers
she is.
paid a lot of that money.
She is not doing that now. Also, we've got sound. Tabitha. I can't find out who the guy is. I'm still looking. He was on with Tucker, giving your Russia spiel when it comes to Ukraine.
I as much as I love Tucker, I don't watch it because I don't have time.
I know. I get it. You're working
so
your
I have
tail off.
absolutely no idea.
But this guy is bringing up what you have been bringing up since the Ukraine situation started and Tucker was allowing him to say it. Once again, we're ahead of the game on all of this stuff.
I can't wait
in
to
this
hear it.
situation. I found it just for you, Tabitha.
Well, I love when people agree with me because my opinions are formed.
Don't we all?
My opinions are formed from reading news, reading alternate news sites and here and there. So I form my own opinion. So it's good when I hear someone agree with me.
Yeah,
if
so
that makes sense.
Biden tries to lay into DeSantis. Does that mean he sees him as a possible competitor? And then DeSantis responded yesterday with some bombs of his own, and it's all about transgender surgeries for kids. Biden says that it's sinful or almost sinful what Ron DeSantis is doing in Florida, not letting kids have their surgeries.
Oh, but it's okay to take showers with your teenage daughter. So we know where his moral compass is.
Oh my! I wish Scotty would have been at the board, because when you said, it's all right
coming.
for her.
Scotty's going to be doing it. That would have been perfect. Scotty
almost
was
sounded
taking
like
care
you
of
had
me.
your-
I can only do one thing.
It's gonna be
Scotty
one of
has
those
to
days.
I can only do
With
three
a
things
Swiss
at a
blade.
time.
Can you do it one more time, Scott? The Tabitha.
You know, I hope everybody does know that Scotty is close to a saint, having to deal with everybody. I mean, literally, we are, the cutest group of misfits you've ever seen, and he has to keep us intact.
I don't know about all that.
Something
I
like
don't
that,
know.
maybe. Hey, Scott, as if you didn't have enough to do already, when you get a chance, can you
Which one?
Can you jump in when you get a chance to the Tabitha Tucker Russia sound? Okay.
I can't wait.
Yeah, this gentleman was explaining, an expert on foreign affairs.
The only problem with this one is it like starts to play as soon as I open it, so I got to catch it when it stops. So it's got to play through.
Okay,
and
that's fine.
then I'll turn the audio. I don't want to miss the beginning.
Just let me know when we're ready to go with it.
I can't wait.
No, here you go. But Tabitha, I haven't heard anybody else talk about this situation when it comes to the Russia-Ukraine situation in regards to why Putin is doing what he's doing. And you can't just, and I've always said this, you can't just look, because I know the situation from a personal standpoint, you can't just look at the end. If somebody loses it, you have to look at everything that's leading up to what's going on. Why is this happening? What was going on here? What's provoked? What is provoking something? What did somebody do first that you never see you only see, it's like in sports. You never want to be the retaliator.
Right.
Because the retaliator always gets fouled, or he gets the foul
And that's
call.
why you have to read
The
the news.
instigator never gets caught.
Right.
Which is why they started to try to do in some sports, call penalties on the instigator, not just the retaliator.
Exactly.
Here is and Tabitha, let's get your opinion of what was said on Tucker.
People don't know that the CIA got in bed with the right-wing Nazis in Ukraine to overthrow the democratically elected government of Ukraine in 2014. We had a peace deal. It was called the Minsk Accord. And then they violated. Who violated it? Ukraine kept shelling the Donbass, which are the Russian speakers in the eastern part of the Ukraine. And that's why Putin had to be provoked to invade to protect those people. Nobody will tell you that. Everybody who talks about every other news station, by the way, you're the only one doing this. And I applaud you for letting people come out and tell the truth about what's actually happening in Ukraine. Other stations, when I watch, what they do is they start the history of Ukraine from Putin's invasion. They never tell you that we overthrew their democratically elected government in 2014. They never tell you that they didn't stop shelling the people in the Donbass. They never abided by the Minsk Accord.
Tabitha, what do you say?
Now, there is some truth. The truth we're always looking for. And exactly.
How long have you been saying?
You can't handle the truth.
Exactly. I hope Eric heard that in his car on his way into the show, because he never believes anything I say. And I'll tell you what, there is no doubt that when Russia invaded Ukraine, it was to liberate the people in the eastern region of Donbass, Luhansk, etc., because those people have been persecuted for 8 straight years. For those people along that eastern edge, they were being bombed and shelled and murdered for 8 years until Putin invaded Ukraine. We all know Ukraine is a puppet state. We did absolutely overthrow their government. We put a little tutu dancing comedian as the president because we knew we could control him.
You mean you didn't like his heels?
Yes, and he wears heels.
Yeah.
But I'm glad there's someone else out there speaking the truth. I really am. because you're not hearing it in too many places.
Okay. With that being said, did you think that Tucker's people put that on? They put it on for a reason, right?
Yes, because they want to tell the truth.
And I haven't heard that said publicly besides here, not on any national news forums. And we're not trying to toot our horn. In that region, for whatever reason, you got very excited about, you jumped into it, you've been studying that region, and boom, some truth bombs start to fall.
And that truth has always been there. You just can't
But
hear it on the
Americans,
media.
but Americans don't care.
They don't care. And most
care.
don't know. Most don't know.
And they don't know.
They don't know. And, we try to tell them, guess what happens? You get deplatformed. If you try to speak the truth, you get deplatformed.
And the
Unless you're
people
Tucker.
that don't know, if they've had a Ukraine flag up, they're doubling down that we still need to give money and help Ukraine just because they don't want to be wrong.
Yeah. I mean, it's one of those situations that's going on right now. And with that being said, I know you're always World War III with Russia. And I mean, I don't joke to say, oh, there's no possibility of it
There
happening.
absolutely will be a
But
war.
then this morning, massive news story coming out. Russia shoots down a $32 million American drone.
So American news says. We don't know.
So,
and maybe we did. Maybe they did. I don't know.
Well, no, both sides say
Yeah.
that there was an incident, that Russian planes, Russian jets, fighter jets were flying around it. Somehow, some way, it got hit by the wing of a Russian jet. Russia says the drone just went straight down. Americans say they poured gas, that the Russians hit it with gasoline, knocked it from the sky, said that it was unsafe and not good for the environment.
What different? What I don't understand when these drones
We're
get
weak.
hit,
We're weak.
what difference does it make anyway? Because first of all, we shoot down drones all the time. We shoot down. As a matter of fact, we know that Russia has air superiority over Ukraine. You will not hear that on the news, but Russia has had air superiority over Ukraine since day one. And you don't hear about that. And there's all sorts of different drones have been shot down. Russia shot down drones over Russia. They shoot down drones over Ukraine. We shoot down Iranian drones in different countries. It's a very common practice. It's not that big of a deal, but they're going to make it into a big deal.
Hey, I don't know what's going on here. I know you're following the chat line. Lizzie, I was looking on, somebody said, ask the gal at Channel 4. She says high gas prices are okay because they help support Ukraine.
People say that all the time.
All the time.
It's the
They
dumbest
say
thing
it
I've ever
all
heard.
the time. They do. They say a lot of dumb things about Ukraine, and it's because they have no idea what's going on. And the mainstream media tells them that Ukraine, oh, poor Ukraine, poor Korea. And Zelensky, he used to dance in his little undies and his high heels, but, he's a big, powerful man now. And they don't have any idea that Ukraine is evil.
Well, American media say that and Russia says it too, that the drone was flying near the border. It wasn't in Russian airspace. However, it was, quote, near their borders. And they said any American drones near their borders will be dealt with hostile intentions.
Right.
So the drone went down.
This is a war.
I don't call it a war. You call it a war, and it might be considered a war. I don't consider it a war.
You don't.
It's more like
Russia calls it a military operation.
It's more like drawing a line in the sand day after day.
I guess I call it war because there's some very heavy fighting going on. But I'll tell you what, our drones are there because we gave them to Ukraine. And so therefore, I understand why Russia would shoot down a U.S. drone, because the U.S. drone is there to help the opposite side of them. I mean, it makes sense to me. And it's not like it's being operated by us Americans. It's being operated by Ukrainian troops. We gave them a number of drones. Does that make you feel different about it?
I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. I just know that money needs to stop going there when we have inflation here.
Yeah, it does.
We need the money here. We're continuing to push on and tug on those heartstrings, but you don't see many of the Republicans who were once wearing the flags proudly, wearing the colors Lizzie's wearing today. Lizzie's wearing her Ukraine support today.
Yeah, I'm all about Ukraine today. I stepped into that, didn't I?
That's funny.
AKA Francis Howell, the colors there.
Right.
Because you have connections with that school, but it is Ukraine's colors.
That's too funny.
I just looked up for that. But anyway, we had to get that out there. We'll see where it goes.
And I'm glad he mentioned the Azov Battalion and the neo-Nazis.
You've been talking. That's the first time I ever heard that name.
You know, I've been studying the neo-Nazis in Ukraine for probably 10 years. You know, maybe not quite that long, maybe, I don't know, 7, 8 years. The reason why is because I had a show a long time ago that was mostly about world politics. Back then, our government was issuing warnings because Americans were going to Ukraine and they were being trained by these Azov battalions, these neo-Nazis. They were coming back here to the United States and they were joining groups like what is Antifa now, was like the Revolutionary Communist Party and different things back then. And they were causing all kinds of chaos here in the United States. And people don't believe they exist, but they do. Real Nazis.
The swastika. We've spoken about it, but the swastika has been around long before the Nazis even brought it to more notoriety, so to speak. And there's a lot of history that goes into that as well. But take a deep dive look. The national media won't tell you about Zelensky. And what is it wrong for me to call it his affection with this group? With their swastikas?
No, because he made them their official National Guard of Ukraine.
Because he made them their official National Guard.
He didn't have to do that.
He did do that. That is a fact.
And these poor people in the eastern region, they're Russian speaking. So they were looked down upon in Ukraine and they were persecuted for 8 years. And what happened is a lot of people, you remember when Mariupol fell to Russia? Russia finally liberated Mariupol. And people said, oh, they're taking prisoners, hundreds and prisoners back to Russia. No, those people are Russian. And what was happening is the Azov Battalion, the neo-Nazis, they dug a trench all the way around the city of Mariupol. And they stayed in that trench and they guarded the city.
That's a lot of work.
And they wouldn't let people in and out of the city if you were Russian speaking. You had to stay within Mariupol. And they would come into your businesses and trash the Russian speaking people's businesses. It was a terrible situation for these people. They were liberated. People don't get it.
That reminds me of Red Dawn.
It's a lot like that.
The 80s movie. I watched that was on the other night. I watched it again.
Let's wear our red tomorrow.
I sent it to Eric. It reminded me of Red Dawn.
The remake was terrible.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't that good. I know.
We could
You
just
just
have a
can't
Red Dawn
top
day.
the first one. You know
Not all the time, but sometimes you can.
Maverick
was every bit as good as Top Gun. I'm telling you.
Well, that's that. But it wasn't a remake. That was actually an additional story. The second Red Dawn was trying to remake the original, and it just was like, just like, don't remake stuff. Like, come up with new ideas. Like, be original.
We need to cancel this movie day where we have 2,000 Mules, Idiocracy.
We need to get a movie theater to play along so we can invite everybody.
You want to go through 1984 as well?
I can get us one. We can go to the B&B over in Wentzville.
Would they let us do
Yes,
that?
in 1984. Yeah, they would.
See, if we could
I know the owners from B&B.
Yeah, so do I.
So if we could do that.
I do work there sometimes.
Because we just went to movie Sundays. We saw Creed 3.
Oh, yeah, that was really good.
It was good. It was predictable, but good. But if you could do that, could we like bring people in to watch 2,000 Mules?
Yes.
Yeah.
And do an event to raise money or something?
Sure.
They do
absolutely.
it. I work there and they do it for groups all the time.
That would be great.
Yeah, 100% we could do that.
They wouldn't be like political stance
No,
on it.
they're, as a matter of fact, they're one of the number one sponsors in this area of faith-based films. And whenever 2,000 Mules was out, they did show those types of movies.
Yeah, the ownership group is based out of
They're
Kansas
good people.
City. So they're a Midwestern group.
They came through here one time, didn't they?
That's how I met them.
Okay, gotcha.
Got a chance at
I remember.
Hey, if you're anybody and you have a plane, where are you going to fly? You're going to fly into Strategic Air Services. If you're going to buy a plane, you buy it through Strategic Air Services. And if you're going to park your plane, you park it at Strategic Air Services.
And it's more than just a storage for your aircraft.
That's right.
They offer state-of-the-art amenities to its members and its guests.
That's right.
When you're not traveling, you can have the luxury of enjoying their world-class gym.
I do it every morning.
Awesome.
I
Conference
enjoy the
rooms.
world-class gym every morning.
That it is. We are very lucky. And I love the coffee machine. Even though
it's
I don't
a very
use
nice
it.
place.
With a sauna and a cold plunge on the way.
Where's
Oh,
Kevin?
my
Give
goodness.
me a cappuccino.
What, are you going to join me early now in the mornings?
For a cold plunge, it might wake me up. Get me going. You guys wouldn't be able to handle it. I
Oh, that
don't
would
wake
be
up till about
great.
1 usually.
I don't know. It might be just a rumor, but someone told me they were building a wine bar outside.
Yes,
Ooh.
I've
that's
heard
on the
that
way
as
as
That's
well.
exactly what we need.
You know, we could go right over to the B&B, which is not that far from here, and watch 2,000 Mules, and then come back to the wine bar.
Yes.
That'd be a
Ooh.
blast.
And
Wouldn't that be fun?
And we'll invite both Zelensky and Putin and see if either of them show up.
That would be
Yeah, okay.
awesome.
We will solve world problems.
Do you
Yeah,
think
I think
Biden
we're
would
over.
come?
Yeah.
Now I sound like Eric.
No, I think we know.
Great
where that,
ideas that will never happen,
I think
unfortunately.
we know where that's going. Hey, by the way, we also wanted to give an update on what, and we're a national show, but we're based out of St. Louis, so you'll hear us toggle back and forth from national topics to local topics. While we were talking there, remember, if you live in the Chesterfield area, on April 4th, Prop U, Bob Nation came in to help local businesses. It's a 1%, literally, it's like a 1% addition to your prices to help compete. Say, for example, you buy $100 pair of shoes, you'll pay $1. $1 to help local businesses. When it all makes
only online. It's only if you buy something
purchases.
online. Yes. And I want to clarify with everyone, if you live in Chesterfield and you don't vote yes for Prop U, that means they were going to have to get tax revenue from other sources. And that could be Metrolink coming through your neighborhood.
It could also be a
I
property.
Would vote,
there's no property tax.
There's no
in
property
Chesterfield.
tax.
People forget about no property tax in Chesterfield, Missouri.
Why? How the
How
hell
did
do we
they
get that?
Yeah.
It's like, huh? What?
I would love to
really
know.
Chesterfield? Are you kidding me? So we just want to remind everybody, Prop U. It's one of those situations that it just seemed like it made sense. Bob Nation came in to talk about it. Tabitha understands it. So there you go. We'll continue to talk about that as well as you come through. This is cancelthisshow.com. Scotty Kirk in here. We've got Lizzie Sparks, Tabitha Hassel. I'm Vic Faust. Eric Johnson on his way in. Getting ready to talk with Kathy Helbig-Strict from Experience Real Estate Partners. 314-276-SOLD. 314-276-SOLD. We'll be talking with Kathy in just a few moments. Coming up in the show, though, you won't want to miss this as well. Can't wait to talk about what happened with Charlie Kirk last night from Turning Point USA. He was their founder, going to speak at a college in California, met with protest. We're talking about people damaging the building, busting out windows. Of course, no arrests were made, trying to disrupt. If you have a viewpoint that may differ from a liberal, from a different, that's all right.
We're in trouble now.
He was probably talking about the CIA.
He's a big guy. I wouldn't want to mess with him.
Is he really?
Yeah, I've interviewed him in person before, and he's a big guy.
What's a big guy?
He's actually about your size.
But
Vic.
a lot of
You're
people
a big guy.
are bigger than you. Most everybody is bigger.
He's literally about your size, and you're a big guy.
Charlie Kirk, just going, and he's excellent. He's on the lines of a Ben Shapiro, if you're not familiar with him. But most of our listeners, most of our people that tune into this podcast.
He's far better than Ben Shapiro.
And I could not agree with you 100%. But that's from a different standpoint. When it comes to straight politics, those two are outstanding. But if you want to talk about faith and other issues that go into it, that's where they differ, because Ben Shapiro is Jewish and does not believe in Jesus, and that's how most Jews are.
Well, and that doesn't even bother me. It doesn't matter
Son of God, but
yeah, it doesn't matter to me.
Charlie
that he's
Kirk,
Jewish.
And I agree.
But it
Charlie
does
Kirk.
matter to me that Ben Shapiro sounds like a little yappy dog.
But you know,
It's his voice.
What do you mean?
It's definitely his voice.
But anyway, Charlie Kirk goes around to campuses. He goes around to do speaking events. And you know what? If you have a different view than what liberal people want to hear, or in students or colleges or Antifa or Revcom or whatever you say, Tabitha, it becomes a massive issue. So with that being said, he dealt with that. We'll be talking about that last night as well when it comes to the whole situation. Oh, we're good. Well, Scotty will get me back up. Scott, when you get back there,
It looks fine.
a big man with big muscles just walked through the studio and knocked my camera sideways, which is why you don't want to mess with that big man when that kind of stuff happens. We've been dealing with, we'll get into the banking industry. I'm going to ask Kathy about the banking industry. She's a real estate expert, but she is also a smart cookie when it comes to all these things.
Yes, she is.
That are happening. Yeah. People were talking about why I like Ben too. Yes. Don't get me wrong.
Ben too.
We like Ben as well.
But he still sounds like little yappy dog. But I like him.
And we'll go in again. And Kathy, as you're getting set, you want to put that chair up as high as it'll go too. Of course I will. So with that being said, when you have over 100 people at an event trying to bust up, not letting people get into the building, they did not have access to the building, but they were trying to get into the building, all because they did not want somebody with a different opinion of them to have a chance to talk on their college campus.
Does that surprise you?
No, but you know what? Here's what surprises me. why isn't there enough security already, knowing that some of these things are going to happen, especially when you go to a state like California? And we know that while there are people who would love to have Charlie Kirk there's far more people who don't want to see him in California.
Very true.
That's why
Parts of California, yes.
When we deal with that situation. With that being said, we'll also get into the Biden versus DeSantis transgender surgeries for kids. Biden wants them. DeSantis lays out some information on why you shouldn't. Biden says it's sinful or near sinful what DeSantis is doing, not letting kids get trans surgeries. Then DeSantis will be responding. You'll see what he had to say regarding that and showing some evidence from surgeries gone bad. Okay. Every Wednesday we talk with the expert, the queen of real estate. Is it all right if we refer to you as that?
Sure,
I've never heard you refer. I've never heard you
As
refer to
opposed
yourself.
the Queen of Carpets.
I was thinking that.
Oh my
You're
God,
not in
that's
St. Louis. You don't know what
wait
I'm
a
talking
minute.
about.
What was that? Becky?
Becky,
Becky,
Queen of Carpets.
the queen of carpet.
Right.
Kathy,
Next
the queen
week,
of
I
real
want to
estate.
see me on a carpet, flowing carpet back here, guys.
That
would
makes
be
Tabitha the princess of tile.
I have no problem with that.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
if we have one of those, it would have to be a beautiful carpet
Yes.
from one of our advertisers,
Let's
being
do
Carol
it.
House.
do
So
it.
Kathy
Brooke,
on a carpet
Brooke,
from
give me
Carol
a
House.
beautiful carpet next week.
Hey, welcome in. Happy Wednesday. We're glad you're
Thank you.
here. The only reason I was joking about, we get you in for real estate to have you talk about what's going on there, is the fact that, and Scotty, when you get a chance, I may have gotten knocked off video.
Oh, did you really knock him completely off video?
No, you're back.
You're
You're
back.
back.
It's
good.
all good.
You're
I'm
up.
back. We'll
You're
fix
back.
that. We'll fix that shot in just a second. People are like, hey, after you talk real estate, Kathy knows so much about the world. We want to know more about like Kathy? Because we were starting to freelance a little bit last week about world events, things of that nature. They want to talk with you about that. Okay. What happened? What do we need to know in the last week of real estate?
Oh man, it's dismal. The last week, it's
Thank you
especially
for being
here.
honest.
Yes. So actually, I was just reading an article on the way here that says that nationally we have 50% of the inventory that we had in 2019, and of course, each week it continues to go down. Now, St. Louis had a little report released from February that says inventory's up slightly, but I don't know where it is.
I would like to know also.
Yeah, I can't find it. It's hiding under a rock somewhere.
That's
so-
why I appreciate
yeah.
you being honest. And that's why people should trust you and give you a call at time,
Yeah.
314-276-SOLD. If you're dealing with something in the real estate industry, you got to deal with somebody that you trust, that somebody's going to be honest, somebody who's going to be direct. You and your company, you've never had to make things up
No.
because you guys have been so successful.
Well, we're in it for the long haul. And we're advisors, not salesmen. So it definitely have to figure out what's best for the client at hand and then advise them accordingly. But some of the things that I was looking at, the factors is that all these people got into really low rates over the last couple of years. Then we're dealing with buyers that had a spike in rates. We're not really having terrible job situations here. We're not having distressed sellers here. So sellers aren't really excited to move right now. And that just keeps compiling and adding to the every month,
I was wondering about that.
Less inventory.
Vic and I talked about that for just a second this morning because I had read a report. I don't know what PMMS is, but I read a PMMS report that someone sent me.
Is there two M's in
I don't know
there?
what it is
There's
either.
two M's in there. MMMMS.
Yeah. That's a really bad week.
And it was talking about how 99% of homeowners bought their homes over the past couple of years at such a low interest rate that they said it's creating a log jam.
Yes.
They're holding on to their homes. They don't want to sell them because they
Right.
don't want to pay the higher interest
That's
rate.
what I was reading too. It says it's not a buyer issue right now because everybody
Yeah.
thinks, buyers aren't buying because of rates. It's a seller issue because
Correct.
they don't really need or want to sell right now.
There's nothing out there.
Mhm.
What are some
Exactly.
main points that you wanted to hit today?
Well, because of that, we are seeing again, contrastly, we're seeing that the values are still rising because there is still a log jam of buyers that need housing right now. And so we're continuing the series of should you do if you're buying and selling right now. There's going to be the situations of having multiple offers again, where we were discussing at our office meeting yesterday. It's kind of a mixed bag market. And I described it as the haves and the haves not. You're either are sitting there getting nothing, or you have 10 offers on your house. So it could be either one, depending on what your house is, where you price it, how how prepared it is for a buyer. So again, I've been talking for weeks about, you do, as a seller, you are in a better position if you go back and get the house prepared, do the paint job, replace the flooring, all those type of things, so that you're not sitting in that category of, they came and went the first couple of weeks, they don't make you an offer, so then they just kind of sit there and watch and see what you're going to do. So back to that, you need to be really careful on, if you are a buyer that wants a house and it does seem like there's other interest in the property, make sure that you are using strategies to win those offers, because just because we're saying the sky is falling right now with inventory doesn't mean that it's going to happen to you, because we are seeing pockets that are very, very successful sellers getting multiple offers.
Is it, as a buyer, do you really need to be prepared? So when people come to you and they say, I found a property, I look, or I'm just starting to look, do they have to have all their ducks in a row?
Yes. So we talked about last week escalation clauses, and yesterday I have a newer agent, couple new agents that we were training, and they're working with a buyer, and the buyer is cash. So normally you think, oh great, I got a cash buyer. Well, cash buyers can be a little trickier than even a finance buyer, because you have to then verify, where is the cash funds coming from. So the conversation yesterday was, do I wait until after we go under contract and then have them prove the funds? And the answer is absolutely not. You've got to get all your ducks in a row ahead of time, because you don't know if there's going to be another offer on the house. And you can't go into this with, hey, I'll give you a pre-approval letter within 48 hours. Or, hey, I'll give you, my proof of funds within 48 hours. If there's somebody else sitting there that already has their stuff ready,
Right.
They're going to be looked at ahead of you.
That makes sense.
And then we're looking at, again, if you are in a situation where you've got other competition against you and you're making an offer, let's talk about how you can still be protected as a buyer, but also still maybe surge ahead of somebody else with your offer. And that is keeping in your contingency of an inspection. As an agent, it working for the buyer, it gives me chills to think somebody's going to go into a house and remove all of their contingencies. But we saw it. We saw it quite a lot happening over the last 2 years. But you can still make a really solid offer and still put some protections in for yourself. And that would be, keep the clause in that you actually can do an inspection, because there's a difference between, I'm buying the house as is, I'm making you an as is offer, and I'm not doing any inspections.
Yes.
Those are two completely different things. And most sellers are not expecting a buyer to buy a house without having an actual inspection. They might say, hey, we'll give you the inspection, we're not going to fix anything. That's a different negotiation clause, right? So go into it with, if you're a buyer, I'm going to still make my offer with an inspection contingency, but let's modify some of those things in that contingency that then makes the seller feel a little warm and cozier about my offer. And that might be writing in, I'm doing it for informational purposes only. I'm not going to ask you for repairs. If it's not something that I want, then I'm going to still I can walk away. So you can leave that in. Or you can go in and say, listen, I'm going to take away my walkaway clause. That's a really big one, because that walkaway clause I touched on it a couple of weeks ago in the inspection explanation show that we did. That walkaway clause can also be a buyer's remorse clause. So you can, the regular inspection contingency, at least in our St. Louis in the Missouri market, says that I'm going to do an inspection within blank days. Usually it's 10. And at that point in time, I have 3 options. I can either ask you for repairs, I can take the house as it is after I've done my due diligence, or I can terminate. It doesn't say I can terminate because you won't work with me. It just says I can terminate. So a really good strategy for buyers right now to leave your inspections in, but freak the sellers out less, is to maybe consider removing that part or putting some parameters around. I'm just not going to be able to walk away because I've changed my mind.
Right.
After I've chased away 20 other of your buyers and you picked me.
Yeah.
So that's a really good way to still keep your buyer options in to do inspections. Leave that in or take that out, because now what you're saying is, look, I'm doing inspection. It's either going to be A or B. I'm going to either take the house as it is and not ask you for anything, or I'm going to ask you for something. And then if I ask you for something, now we've got 10 days to negotiate that. And then if we don't come to an agreement, so it's still giving the seller a way to still keep the buyer in by negotiating with them. That other term, the walkaway clause, just says, I'm not even giving you an option to keep me in. I'm out. So you can take that out, and that gives you a little bit more wiggle room with that seller to at least know, listen, I'm game to buy this house, provided that there's not something that I'm not expecting on the surface that comes up with these inspections.
Kathy, can people around the country call the same number too, and you hook them up with people that you have? Once again, talking with Kathy Helbig-Strick, because what she is explaining is good for anybody living anywhere across the country. It doesn't just have to be in the St. Louis area. It's Kathy Helbig Experience Real Estate Partners. Expect to be moved. 314-276-SOLD. 314-276-SOLD.
Yeah. So it used to be fun buying a house. It did. You'd go out on a Sunday afternoon, get a latte, and go, I like this one. And then you go through the rigmarole. Someone on the, I'll try to paraphrase this a little bit, but someone wants to move.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone knows it's pretty stupid to sell a house right now. Right. I mean, is it something that you could
depends.
do?
I mean, people have got a lot of equity in it.
Let's say you're at 1.1% on this house you're paying over here, right? It's an investment. Is it okay to keep that house, maybe Airbnb it, rent it out, whatever it is? Will the banks, the lenders, the mortgage companies say, I see what you're doing. You want that house. You'll refinance it later. Is it something that's harder said? Is it hard to go get 2 mortgages right now? Because selling the first one's probably not the greatest idea if you're under a 1% mortgage.
Well, it just depends on what your debt to income ratio is. Are you getting income coming in on the house that you're keeping that offsets your debt on that? So no, it happens all the time. People have multiple houses.
Can you use the first house, the one you're moving out as a business venture? I mean, it seems more commonplace now that people are like, yeah, I'll Airbnb this thing and make money on it. Do the banks see it that way? Or are they like, it's still the same rules apply?
Yeah. I mean, they see it as it's income coming in that's canceling out your payment that's going out that goes against your debt to income.
Let's talk about this.
Got a mortgage guy in the corner over there. There's more details next week.
Okay. Well,
maybe
we need the mortgage guy because
we do.
Talk to me about this. $250,000 house, $500,000 house.
Mm-hmm.
It was 2% a few years ago. 2.5, whatever. Now it's upwards of 7.
3 for most. 2.8 was probably a good.
Okay. Now it's upwards of 8, depending on what your credit is. What's the difference in the monthly payment on a $500,000 house?
Oh gosh, I don't have my calculator.
I mean, are we talking
quite a bit.
Hundreds of dollars?
Double.
Double that mortgage? I knew it. See, that's what I was talking. It's like
close.
So when you look,
your rate's double.
This is where the sticking thing is for me for the housing market now. Is you used to go on Zillow and it would say average mortgage $3,700. I was like, I don't know anybody that's just a blue collar worker that can look at a house now and go, I can afford that.
That's true. There is a group of people out there that cannot afford those type of mortgage payments, but there is another group of people that can.
That's true. That is true. Kathy, I'm curious. I love how you're honest, you're direct. I've sat with you. I've listened to you talk with people. Most people hear you and they agree. Some people go, oh, you know what? No, but I've got a different opinion.
Sure.
One of our, and most everybody on our chat line is all Kathy. Yes. Learning, calling her, learned so much from her. Somebody said that they felt like the advice that you were giving didn't make sense to them because they said it leaves a buyer with 0 options.
No, it
says that this woman's a seller's broker. It's all about the listing.
No. That was to give. So you have to put a different hat on. So back in a regular balanced market, you're going into when you're representing a buyer, you're going into is like, how can I protect my buyer with every single layer that I possibly can? And then you come at it that way. When you're a buyer in a seller's market, you have to figure out what are your goals as the buyer. And then how am I going to get you that house? Of course, we talk about it. We talk about the pros and cons and the strategies and, what somebody's comfortable with. But what's really hard for people to get is that if I approach negotiations today like I did 5 years ago, that buyer would never have a house because you would be layering up all the protections. And sometimes they don't need them. They don't need certain protections. They're okay with a certain thing. They're not worried about this or that. So if you go into it where there's 10 other people that are making different types of offers and peeling some of that stuff off, you got to sit down with your buyer and say, what's our goal? Are you willing to forego the walkaway clause? Because to me, the walkaway clause is kind of bogus.
What is a walkaway clause?
So the walkaway clause is the part of the building inspection that just gives buyers one last chance to change their mind after they've done an inspection. So the only thing you have to do is once you've gone under contract, you have to pay for, you can't have Uncle Joe come in and do it. You have to pay for a professional home inspection. And once you've paid for it and it's been completed, then you can come back and say, I don't want your house anymore. Here's my report if you want it. Seller doesn't have to take it because then it's a disclosure stuff. But that is just a simple way that the courts, at least in like I said, the St. Louis area, back in the early 2000s said there's so many lawsuits over people feeling like there was things that came up in the inspection and they didn't have an out, so they had to negotiate, and then they ended up buying this house, and now they're suing each other later. So we're going to put this last chance for a buyer to buyer beware, to say, hey, listen, you've done your inspections. Now, if you don't want it, you can walk without even asking the seller to fix it. Because sometimes there is something like major structural something. And then you go, gosh, even if the seller fixed it, I don't think I want it.
Yeah.
Because now it's got a black mark on it. When you're dealing with structural stuff, it can be scary for people. So that would be the only type of situation where not having that walkaway clause might be concerning for the buyer. But generally speaking, you don't run across major structural stuff that you didn't suspect was already there before you do it. And then you can go back and say, you know what? One of my things I want you to do is I want you to crank the house up, wipe out the foundation, give me a brand new foundation. I mean, you can be ridiculous.
No, I'm glad you explained that for the listener.
I am too, because I had no idea any such thing. That's such great information.
Yeah. And so no, what the listener, I'm not going into it as protecting the seller. You're going into it trying to get your buyer what they want with the amount of protections that's important to them, but is not going to put them on the sidelines of even being looked at in this market. Make sense?
It does to me.
Okay.
What's your recommendation right now? Sit on the sideline. It seems like a lot of people just want to sit on the sideline and go, I'm not playing this game. The housing prices are jacked. The interest prices are jacked. I just got a small lesson in the mortgage, what the difference is between a acceptable mortgage and one that's just out of hand.
Yeah.
How do you, if you were talking to your daughter right now, would you be like, nah, not maybe right now is not the time. Get a nice condo, go travel the world for a while, come back, maybe all this stuff settles down.
No, because I know what she's paying in rents. Rent.
Bingo.
That's the problem.
Kathy talked about that last week.
If rent rates were low, that might be
sense.
different. But my daughter is paying a rental price right now that was probably my fourth mortgage a few years back. It's crazy. And so again, with the rates are temporary. You could always refinance them. That's what people keep losing sight of. So what if it takes a year or 2 years? Maybe you are paying a little bit higher payment then, but ultimately you still are building up some equity, and the prices are continuing to climb. We're not in a situation where we're nervous that the bottom is going to fall out of the housing market. It's still continuing. I think our prices year over year for February showed that we were up 4.7%, even though we really did kind of go through that buyer strike for half of last year. We're still up 4.7% on house values.
Well, hell, there's
right
some
now.
good news.
Yes.
If there is any.
Holy crap.
It's
In the
just
midst of everything else going on.
I know it's so hard. I've been looking for my parents a house all across the entire state of Missouri, primarily out in the country towards Rolla, Cuba, out Steelville, out that way. And there's nothing out there.
Right.
So when people come to you as a buyer, what is the advice you're giving them? Because right now would you call it a seller's market?
Yeah, it's still not balanced.
It's difficult to find anything. So what is your best advice to anyone who's out there looking?
So it's buyer dependent. Like what is your situation? Do you have somewhere to live for a while, or do you absolutely have to move right now? Because if you have to move, then we're looking at what are your options out there and what can you live with, even if it's an interim type move, because you have to lower your expectations when there's not inventory. And then if you don't have to move, then maybe we are talking about, hey, let's table it for a little while and let's see what comes out. We are going to see, just because of the time of the year, April, May, June, you'll see some houses come on the market. I mean, we had 200 houses just locally here in St. Louis go under contract last week.
That's amazing.
That's
So
yeah.
that's
But
why
the
it's
ra-
so good to have somebody like you on the
Yeah.
dial already.
But aren't
Yeah.
rates approaching?
Already.
Aren't rates approaching 7.5% on some of these homes now?
Yeah, so they were climbing again, and then with the quote bank collapse,
That was my second part.
they dropped
because that's
a little bit last week, and
yeah.
they
How's the
expect it to-
banking industry affecting your industry?
depends on who you listen to, you too, with the banking, because people are watching the rates. So we saw the rates go down a little bit on the immediate announcement of that. And then we've had conflicting information coming out. Steve and I were talking about on the way here. Depends on who you're listening to. Thinks that the feds are not going to raise rates again because they were expected to raise it again coming up here in the near future. Now there's people saying because of the bank collapses, they think they're not going to. But then you hear somebody else say they think they still might. So we're watching
that's
that closely.
fascinating.
It has affected rates last week in a positive way. So we did reach out to some of our buyers. I'm like, hey guys, they ticked down a little bit. Maybe we want to get back in the car and
Don't
go
you
look at
feel
some
like you just
houses.
want to go to Acapulco until the end of the summer?
Yes.
And not going to come
That's what I
back.
say all the time. Selling pineapples on the beach sounds
then you come
really
back.
amazing right now.
I mean, it is interesting.
Yes.
Before we let you go,
No,
I
Puerto
mean-
Rico, because then we don't have
Yes.
to pay federal taxes.
Oh,
Did you know
yeah,
that?
see?
You live in
Yes, I
Puerto
did know
Rico for
that.
6 months and you don't have to pay
Wouldn't that be nice? Let's all
federal
go.
taxes.
Come on.
Well,
Vic.
I know a businessman.
Let's put a
He's-
content house there.
Listen,
A barn dominium on the beach.
Yes, let's do it.
You know, we
Keep
can
everybody
have
happy.
a hut.
and we
That's
can
a
host a
hut.
podcast anywhere.
Yeah, we
Yes.
could. And it's
Do it,
interesting,
Tabitha.
Kathy.
I
I'm
know
kind
some
of up.
people.
You always drop those truth bombs. I have a friend. He's a lawyer. He moved his business to Puerto Rico.
Yeah, we have several
for
friends
one
that
of
did.
that. He lives next door to Yadier Molina
Mhm.
and the Paul brothers.
Wow.
Ricky Martin's in the neighborhood
Yes.
as well.
Yes,
and I'm
yes,
like,
yes.
Really?
That's Dorado.
oh yeah, yeah.
That's
as a-
Dorado. Uh-huh.
he lives in Dorado.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Absolutely. You already know
That's
what
your
I'm
Yes, we
talking
jam.
about.
do.
You should be there.
I've got an invite, but I'm trying to start a business.
That's your jam.
Have you
You
ever
can
started
do
a
there on the
business?
beach.
Do it in Puerto Rico. I'll move with you.
Yes. They sell coconuts down there.
Yeah.
Knock yourself out.
It is fascinating where you can go for some of these.
Really is.
Oh, Kathy's.
He's
See,
been trying
oh,
to talk me
see,
into it.
Why
This
aren't
is-
you guys
Okay.
there?
The
He's been trying to
alternative
talk me into it,
is,
trust me.
am I okay? So Tabitha always says people just can't pick up and leave. I'm like, that's bull crap.
That's not me.
There's
That
a
says
lot
that.
of people
I go,
that
you
pick up
that
and
is
leave.
garbage.
Yep.
If your family, if you've just
Tabitha and
gone
I
like-
disagree with you guys.
if you just throw your hands in the air and you're like, I can't do this anymore. You can think of alternative ways like we
Mhm.
just did right there.
Yeah.
How much does it cost really to get a plane ticket to Puerto
Yeah,
Rico?
but all those guys have a lot of money. My
Mhm.
friend, the
Do you
personal
need-
injury
do you-
attorney,
do you
Ricky
need a-
Martin,
hold on.
Molina.
But we'd all
the
have
Paul
brothers,
we'd all have almost twice
all
as much money if we weren't
multimillionaires.
paying
Hold on,
federal
hold on,
taxes,
hold on.
That's
right?
Well,
right.
that's another.
Do
good
you
point.
need a fortune to pick up, get on an airplane, go and search Puerto Rico or wherever, and just say, "There's a house right there for 150,000. It's in paradise. I can afford that." Instead of taking 20% of what's in your bank account to someone that's paying for an overpaid price house in the Midwest, isn't that an alternative way of maybe thinking about living your life?
Sure, a lot of people
See,
are
I
doing
told
it.
you, Tabitha.
Eric, I would do
I
it in a
told you.
flash.
Peter
in a
George,
flash.
he's been online. Peter George, he's moving to Mexico. He's becoming
Moving to
go.
Whoa, that's
he's
crazy.
becoming a Mexican
Cartel member. No, what do you do? That's nuts. Now
Eric-
that's
and he
different.
may be coming on the show to talk about a company which is relocating Americans to certain parts.
alternative
I would-
ways
Mexican
of
nationals.
thinking.
I would love to
Yeah.
hear it. Eric, I am all for trust me, I would move to Puerto Rico today. If Vic said, we're moving the show to Puerto Rico, instead of my family finding a house out in Rolla,
Yeah.
we'd be finding a house in
Let's
Puerto
do
Rico.
it.
But Eric, what Vic and I are sometimes talking about is there are people who have kids
Money,
in
money,
college,
money.
kids in
college,
school,
kids in high school.
older
That's an excuse.
grandparents or older parents, and they can't just pack up and move.
Yes, you can.
No, you
I've
can't.
done it like 100 times.
Well, you didn't take your family with you. You just
Yeah.
went by yourself. That's a different story.
That's
No.
a great topic when we discuss this.
I
Our
was,
kids would come visit, we figured.
come visit. Exactly. Here's a key. If
They
you ever
would
get that-
definitely
Come
come and
visit.
visit.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, but you're at the end of that.
Yes,
I'm
I am.
almost to where you are.
Yes. It's nice.
But we're not
Nice.
quite there. Hey, is this the most volatile time ever in being in real estate? You've done it how
Yep.
many years?
26.
In 26 years. Is this the craziest
Yes.
up and down time ever?
Yeah, I mean 2008 was pretty bad too, but no, yeah, it's really tough right now just to even keep our agents fed. There's just not enough food to go around.
Yeah.
There's not enough houses to sell.
And there were so many agents, because when we were doing that through that whole boom where it was just buy, and sell.
Yes.
It has to be really hard on some of your agents right now.
It's really hard because even if you do get a buyer, if you think about the nature of real estate anyway, you go out there and you're spending so much time trying to attract somebody to use you. There's 14,000 other choices just in the St. Louis area as it is. So it's not like a restaurant. Like you've got 6 other great steak restaurants or whatever. There's 14,000 agents to pick from.
Yeah.
So you're out there, banging, beating the streets, trying to get people to use you. And then you finally get a client. Okay. So now you got this client, you're so excited and they want to buy something. Well, think about the last 2.5 years. They want to buy something great. Well, so does 50 other people want that exact same house. So you're taking these people, you had to win them over to begin with. Now you got to keep them for 2 years.
Yeah.
So that's hard too.
And it's the people with the most money are winning.
Yeah. And you've got somebody for a while there, you couldn't get VA or FHA buyers bought hardly. So if you had that was hard. But then you're going back to the starting point with these buyers that don't win. Now we have people that are working with some people for over 2 years. And you don't ever get paid as a real estate agent until they get a house and close. So it's very, very challenging for agents. So hug your agents right now instead of turning on them.
Is 2 years the time period?
Some people, we had somebody that was in our computer database since 18. I had some that
But
finally
maybe
bought a
that's
house.
just them. Maybe they just have a fun time going and exploring
I mean,
houses.
there's those people, but no, we have some legitimate buyers that they want a specific thing.
Exactly. It's not
and they'll
easy.
buy it when it comes up, but if it's not here, they're not going to just go buy something
right.
else. And so you've already connected with them, you're working with them, you've got 1 year or 2 years worth of work into it. You don't want to give up on them either, so you just keep plugging along. But eventually you got to have a sale here or there to put food on the table.
It makes total sense.
It's been brutal.
Yeah. It's tough when you're looking for something specific.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
Kathy, thanks for coming in today. We appreciate it.
welcome.
Love the Wednesday segments. Kathy Helbig Strict. Experienced real estate partners. Expect to be moved. Expect to be moved. Expect to be moved. 314-276 sold. 314-276 sold. I'll say it again. I love your honesty. I love how direct you are. There's no question that you won't talk about. There's no somebody coming and saying not agreeing with you that you won't talk about. And then sometimes, people agree, they don't agree, but we learn every Wednesday.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you.
And maybe one of these times we'll be able to talk to the person that's with you in studio.
Maybe next week.
We'll see where that goes. Once again, Kathy Helbig Strict, thanks again. And we'll catch up with you next Wednesday.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, guys.
I feel like we put her in the hot seat. Did we?
We
You
did.
always do put me in the hot
Did we
seat.
put her in the hot seat?
But do you like it?
Yes, I do like it.
You're
love to chat
comfortable
real
in it.
estate. Yeah, I love
And
it.
it's such great information. It really is. And it's information you can't get anywhere else.
Thank you. Yes, I may not have all the answers, but if I don't,
I got
I'll
all
go-
the
I'll go
answers.
for- I know
I am
you do.
Convinced you do.
I got all the
You do.
I think it's time we go take over
Eric.
all that land by Newtown and start making subdivisions and making affordable houses. Let's go.
All right, let's do it.
Let's take
Affordable houses.
He's talking about his
How
tiny
about
houses.
tiny barn? I was gonna say tiny barndominiums.
Tiny barn.
There you go.
Eric wants tiny houses with a big stage, and he'll play music all day and all night.
Yes, Tiny Newtown. I'll
All
call it
right,
Tiny
let's do
Newtown.
it.
And you can have a mini pony,
A mini pony,
a mini horse,
mini goats, mini
pygmy goats.
Yes.
Hey guys, this is cancelthisshow.com. Of course, you know what we do here Monday through Friday, 8 to 10 a.m. live. You can check us out, watch us live, Central Time, 8 to 10. Of course, you can get all of our content all the time on cancelthisshow.com. Thanks for sending us the stars. Continue to send us the stars. You can also share the show, subscribe on all of the platforms as well. You can check out all of our original content that we have too. All right, take a quick break. And remember, all of the advertisers, the sponsors, let them know, contact them, let them know that you heard about them on cancelthisshow.com. Jump in, go ahead, check out our partners list. We show you our advertisers as well. They've partnered with us. If you need to make a purchase at any of those issues, do so. Let them know from cancelthisshow.com as well. Okay, when we come back on the other side of this break, here she goes, Kim Gardner. Bye, guys. Kim Gardner has now responded with her new legal team.
Wait a minute. Just now?
It
Breaking news?
this morning. Just came out. We'll get into that. We'll talk about what happened to Charlie Kirk from Turning Point USA when he was trying to have Just a meet and greet last night in California. Also, Biden now going after DeSantis, not Trump, over transgender surgeries for kids.
Oh, brutal.
Yeah, we got a lot to get over in the next hour. It's cancelthisshow.com. Scotty Gherkin, Lizzie Sparks, Eric Johnson, Tabitha Hassel. I'm Vic Faust. Back with more right after this. Don't go anywhere.
You may know the home of the Cancel This studio is located at the all-inclusive private jet hangar Strategic Air Services. Founded in Chesterfield, Missouri, they take pride in offering a meticulous approach to private aviation through services that fully manage your trip from takeoff to landing. Strategic Air Services is more than just storage for your aircraft. They offer state-of-the-art amenities to its members and guests. When you are not traveling, you have the luxury of enjoying their world-class gym, conference rooms, lounges, and so much more. Strategic Air Services offers an unparalleled luxury experience for all things private aviation. If you're looking for a new place to call home for your aircraft, give them a call today at 636-400-7601. Again, that's 636-400-7601, or visit their website at strategicairservices.net.
If you are having a bad day at work, I can help. Hi, this is Curtis Sparks with Complete Auto Body and Repair. We just expanded to Cottleville and St. Peters and are looking for qualified automotive and auto body technicians that would want to work in a climate-controlled environment. That's right, we offer a fully climate-controlled, air-conditioned and heated facility in both Cottleville and St. Peters. Visit us at CompleteAB.com. If it's not perfect, it's not complete. Others can't compete with Complete Auto Body.
Dad, and service.
Oh yeah, and service.
He fixes cars.
Kathy L. Big Strick, owner of Experience Real Estate Partners with eXp, has been one of St. Louis, Missouri's highest selling groups for 26 years running. In that time, Kathy and her team have successfully assisted an incredible 4,000 families. So if you're thinking about buying, building, or selling, be sure to put Kathy's group and their experience to work for you, and you can expect to be moved. Just give her a call at 314-276-SOLD. That's 314-276-7653, or find her online at experience-re.com.
So are you ready to be the grill master this summer? Well, look no further than Pixie Dust Seasoning. Our custom seasoning blends will take your barbecue to the next level. With 9 different blends to choose from, you will have the perfect flavors for any meat or veggie. And the best part is, our seasonings are low sodium and healthy, so you can indulge guilt-free. Whether you're hosting a big party or just cooking a late-night dinner, Pixie Dust Seasoning is the secret ingredient that you would thank us for. So head on over to our site at www.pixiedustseasoning.com to see our store locator, and I'm sure we'll have a store near you.
And when you visit the site, be sure to use the code name VIC so they know you came from cancelthisshow.com. Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, if you don't know, is a family-owned business that has been around since 1994, serving some of the best chicken wings in town, no joke. Also known for their fresh burgers, pizza, and incredible smoked meat. Top-notch happy hour specials are included, plus live music every Friday and Saturday. Oh yeah, you can also enjoy their spacious heated covered patio. It's Winty's in the Chesterfield Valley, 18,000 Chesterfield Airport Road. Hey guys, welcome back into the show. It's cancelthisshow.com. Thanks for staying with us. Of course, you can always go to cancelthisshow.com, share the show, let people know, hey, have you seen, have you heard, cancelthisshow.com. You can watch us live, you can watch us taped, you can listen to us on the go as well, on the audio podcast as well. It's this simple. How do I watch? How do I listen? Just go to canceltheshow.com. All the original content's there. Scotty Gherkin running the show. Lizzie Sparks running social media. Eric Johnson, Tabitha Hassel, Vic Faust here. Okay, still lots to get into today. Charlie Kirk, what happened to him? Biden and DeSantis going at it. Eric's going to bring up reparations being passed in San Francisco. That'll blow your mind. But this just came out just a few moments ago. We're a live show, but we're a podcast, so we cover it all. St. Louis Circuit Attorney Kim Gardner's office announced that Kim did file her motion in response to Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey. Her filing denies any wrongdoing.
Ooh, of course.
And says the court needs to dismiss the lawsuit. The Attorney General filed a quo warranto, a petition to remove Gardner. That was back in February. Bailey said that she's failed to do her duties. Gardner has responded to the accusation saying she's not going to step down. So it's back and forth. They're going at each other right now. This, of course, all came to a head when Janae Edmondson lost both of her legs. Tennessee volleyball player in town, when, of course, Daniel Riley, who should have been in prison, was driving a car, speeding illegally, no license, caused an accident that hit her on the side of the road, taking her legs. So now, prominent attorney Ronald Sullivan has been approved to represent Gardner in her legal battles. He's as big as it gets in these situations. He's a high-profile case guy. He was in the Harvey Weinstein case. He represented former New England Patriot Aaron Hernandez, who was acquitted of a double murder, by the way. And Gardner's request for an out-of-town attorney to represent her was accepted by the judge. Not sure how she's going to be paying for him, but that is happening. But not everybody's convinced that her legal team is going to be able to mount a successful defense. Good friend of the show, St. Louis defense attorney Scott Rosenblum, who worked on Gardner's prosecution of former Missouri Governor Eric Greitens, believes that the attorney general has a case, and a strong case, for Gardner to be removed from her position.
She's gone. You know, if it was me, if I was Kim Gardner, I would say, you know, I'm here to do what's best for the community. If you guys think I'm doing a bad job, and I can even see that some of the logic that you guys are trying to get rid of me because I'm not doing my job, or that I'm not leading this department well, I want to do what's best for the community. Therefore, I resign. I swear that's exactly how I would feel. She is literally not doing her job. Literally. And she's lying about some of the documents that she said the courts. She's blaming all of this stuff on the courts.
We showed them here.
We did. She's blaming this all in the courts. The courts are looking at her like, you're nuts. I don't know what you're talking about. So I don't know if that's a case to be brought up in a review on her, but she literally just needs to go. She needs to do it for Tashara. Tashara doesn't want her there. No, she doesn't want to clean up the mess. Tashara's having too much fun with our representative and 314 Day downtown at Ballpark Village. She wants to have fun. She wants to try to have a little bit of economic development. I'm going to stick up for Tashara, as a matter of fact. I think she's saying the right things, and she doesn't even want you there. I don't feel like Tashara Jones, and this is me saying this, Tabitha. I know you hate when I do this, but I think that the only Soros person...
She just rolled her eyes.
I didn't roll my eyes. I was looking around like, why? What is it that I hate?
Tashara Jones could be a factor to bring St. Louis back.
Okay, there we go.
And she
now I get it.
Now you've tipped the scale.
Not going to happen, Eric. Not going to happen.
But she doesn't.
Puppy dogs and sunshine and rainbows.
We can agree on this. She doesn't want her in the prosecutor's office anymore. I can tell. I can feel that in the press conferences. I can feel it. She's like, I'm done with this. Let's get rid of this George Soros DA. Put someone in there that's liberal still. Fine.
That'd be ridiculous.
Fine. But but I would love to see there's nothing politically wrong. You commit a crime, you do the time. There's nothing politically wrong with that.
I feel like we've talked the subject into the ground.
Kind of.
We talk about
we're going
every darn day.
But we're going into a new phase.
This is a new phase.
This is a new phase.
It is.
Her attorney team is a big deal.
It is a big deal.
And that attorney is a big deal.
But this is what I've said from day one, and you guys know I've said this. It's not going to be that easy to get her out of her position. I am 100% for her being terminated, for her losing her law license. I would love to see that. I would love to see it happen to all the George Soros prosecutors.
If
across
George
the
is
country.
funding this
But
thing,
Tashora
then that
Jones
needs to
is-
be brought out.
Tashora, well,
It
where
is. It's going to.
Yeah.
Well, it's
It
private
will
money,
air
though.
I'm going to tell
It's
you,
private
it's
money.
coming from one of the funds that represents these DAs that are a part of it. We are just like the same funds that was giving Lester Holt money at NBC to get his message out. They are funding it. I don't have proof of it, but I promise you it's what's happening.
Okay.
they're going to pull out every stop to defend her. Every stop the liberal pocketbook has, all the George Soros money they can get their hands on. And George Soros money isn't him handing Kim Gardner a paycheck.
Correct.
It's him funding all of these
Yes.
different sources
Yes.
and then her withdrawing money from those sources
Right.
to pay her defense fund, et
How are you
cetera.
going to trace that money? Because
It's-
that's important
it's,
here.
It's
It doesn't
traceable,
matter.
but
But it doesn't
in the
matter
end, yeah, it
where the
doesn't
money's
matter.
coming from. It doesn't matter.
It's private money.
It's private money.
But here's the deal.
it won't be taxpayer money.
Right, but it's another case of George Soros coming in and saving the day. This guy that's trying to kill St. Louis is coming in and saving the day. This is a big story. All
But
the
her
little facets of
constituent-
this
but
story
her
are big.
constituents don't care if
I don't-
George Soros is funding her. They know. They don't care.
Yeah, but how big is that constituent? You already told me that only 10 to 20% of the electorate actually votes
Well,
down in St.
the
Louis.
there's no
people-
hope. That's
Th-
why.
That's where it is, Eric. What Scott Rosenblum didn't say is the Missouri Supreme Court situation. I have now been told by several attorneys she's going to lose in court. That Andrew Bailey's the filing that he put on her, he's going to win. However, that's not the end of the game. The end of the game will be the Missouri Supreme Court. And that's where this attorney Sullivan helped her win with the Supreme Court the last time around when she got the slap on the wrist. So I know we've talked about it. It comes back out because now she has filed. She is defiant. She's not going anywhere. Tashara Jones will not be saying anything else, Eric. She will not say another word.
Oh, I disagree.
She came out,
If it comes to her office, she'll say something about it. I
but
can
it's not
guarantee it.
coming to her office.
like
okay.
Kevin said on the
She's out
comment
of
line.
it. She's out of it now. She said what she said.
Yeah,
and
she
it's
doesn't
gone.
care. She like Kevin said on the comment line. The only reason why Jones spoke out against it because it's affecting her personally.
She wants her gone.
No, she wants her gone because because
Yeah, she
Jones
does.
wants to keep
But
her
she won't-
job.
Correct.
But she won't say anything else because she doesn't need to. She's already on record. Anything else she says now will only
Okay,
hurt
I'll
her.
tell you what, Vic. The next time someone gets shot down at the home opener at the baseball game, and it's some kid that wasn't in jail because he has priors,
If that
and it's on the
happens,
news,
yeah.
you don't think Tashara Jones is going to come out again and say, "All right, enough is enough. Bye."
You're
I think
100%
I
right,
think
Eric.
she will then. And I'm agreeing with Eric to the point where Tashara Jones, I agree she's all in the same Democratic camp and very, very liberal. But I did see her in person right around the volleyball time,
Yes.
and she was broken up, unless she's a good actress, but I don't think so. And my daughter and I were talking yesterday, who they own the house in the city. They do not
Mhm.
like Kim Gardner at all, but they do think that Tashara Jones has a heart.
Yes,
Not saying she's done the right thing, but maybe this will make her
Yeah.
do that.
I can see it into. Let me Lyda Cruisen. She looked like a scared rat. She didn't want to do
she was a
anything.
scared rat.
Tashara has come out on camera talking about economic development. That's interesting. She got a new police chief. I don't know what the dynamic with that new chief is yet, but she got a new police chief in this town. She outspoken on camera talked about
He is
getting
not
rid
a
of the prosecutor.
yes. He's not a yes man.
He's not a yes
from what-
man.
but he's
He's
earning
very
it.
northeast.
no, but he's earning his stripes within the department
Yes.
right now. But I'm hearing there's some positive things. But I
Good.
was told, do not ever think that this guy came here to be Tashara's yes man.
There you go. There's
Good.
another.
I'm glad
it's
to
a
hear
real
that.
example.
We'll see.
She likes money. She likes power. I'm telling you, give her a chance.
it's too
give
late.
her a
It's
chance.
too late. Look how many died.
We'll watch
How many
her.
people have died under her watch? It's too late. It's too late. I will never give her a chance. She had her chance, and look how many people have died under her watch. Seriously.
Let me respond
But-
to this real fast. Is Eric a liberal?
Yes.
This is from the text line. Is Eric a
On
liberal?
some days, not every day.
I'm not a liberal.
No, not at
I'm
all.
not a
Not even
liberal.
close.
What do you consider yourself?
I
An
don't.
independent.
I have never put badges on myself. I'm not a Boy Scout. I don't have badges all over my shirt saying conservative, liberal, Democrat,
Well,
Republican.
you have to have
GOP,
a badge.
elephant.
That's
I'm
a
not
great
that.
analogy.
That's not my thing,
You
dog.
have to
Here,
vote.
hold
You
on.
either vote Republican or you vote Democrat. Did you vote for Biden? No, I'm kidding.
I don't do that. That's not my gig. My gig is
He won't
this.
tell
I
us.
look at the environment and I just want our politicians to be invisible.
Did you ever vote for Trump?
I don't want to see them. I don't want to talk to them. I want them to take out the trash, fill the potholes. By the way, don't ever drive downtown St. Louis without putting on another suspension system or putting new tires on your car.
I want to talk more about your
it is insane.
liberalism.
So I'm not liberal. I'm a conservative by nature. I believe that do anything you want in this country, but play by the rules of the Constitution, play by the rules of not hurting anybody, play by the rules. If you do hurt somebody, you're going to jail for a long time. I don't
what
know.
direction
But
do
what
you
I'm
vote?
saying about
Did you vote
I'm
for
saying,
Trump?
who cares about Trump?
Answer the question.
For God's sakes, girl. For
Yeah,
God's
nobody-
sakes, girl. I'm not talking about, I don't care about politics. I don't care about politicians. I don't care about politicians. I don't even want to care about Kim Gardner, to be honest with you. I don't want to see her face. I can't stand seeing her in the news anymore because she is just this belligerent little fill in your own adjective. I want her gone. I want her gone because I want somebody to care about walking down Washington Avenue from 8 o'clock till midnight where all the cool bars are, but no one seems to care. So it's not a safe place anymore. I want my mom's passed away. I would like my family to be able to go to a St. Louis baseball game without fear of being hijacked. That's what I'm talking about.
And that's why I keep bringing up voting. And I'm not talking about you specifically.
Who cares
But if people aren't voting for the right people, then guess what? You're going to continue.
I agree with that.
You're going to continue to get this.
I agree with that. But I don't want to wake up in the morning thinking about who I'm frickin' voting for.
Should be your number one thought every single day.
I don't want to do that because I want our leaders to, if you want to run for a job, if Lizzie wants to run for a job and she decides she wants to do another job, when she gets the job, she should be fired. Correct? If I hire you to come in and take care of the produce at Schnucks, yet you're over there trying to check people out, probably going to get fired, right?
I have no idea what you're talking about, but yeah, maybe.
Or a raise.
Yeah, I'm thinking I would
Right?
get a raise.
All right.
That's what's going on with a lot of these people in politics today. We elect them, yet they want to go do something else. Most of it is this social.
So you're
justice
electing
garbage.
them to be mayor, but they want to be president.
This all started with Kim Gardner. It's all Kim Gardner. She has her new legal team. She is fighting 100% hard. She says she's not going anywhere. I'm telling you, it's going to go all the way back to the Supreme Court. That's where it's going to be. It doesn't matter anything else that happens. It's going to come down to the Supreme Court just like it did last time. It will. And she's got her same attorneys right back. She's digging in for the fight. Here we go. Are people going to be more safe in St. Louis or not? We'll see. She has about 5, I repeat, about 5 assistant circuit attorneys working to cover about 400 murders. You tell me.
I guess if I'm going to the Supreme Court, dereliction, and I don't know. I guess we need to talk to Scott Rosenbaum on this show about this and say, hey, is dereliction of duty? Is that a thing?
It could be, but it's the Supreme Court's decision. It'll be up to them. There's no black and white. It'll just be their decision. However, there's I'm told by a Missouri state senator, they've got a card, quote, Trump card, that they're going to be able to use, worst case scenario, to bring in oversight over the city, which is the whole other issue that's kind of gotten lost in this Kim Gardner situation. That would be her boss if she were still in office.
I hope that the Supreme Court.
So don't forget about that.
Yeah, who's going to replace her? That's what I'm thinking about.
I hope the Supreme Court has the ability to take a step back and go, man, St. Louis is jacked up and we got to start. We have to start putting our foot down a little bit.
It's easy. We get sidetracked on a daily basis because there's this story, that story, this story. That is still there. Before this Kim Gardner situation came to light with Janae Edmondson, you still had works in the mix. We had people in the studio talking about it. There's still an effort to bring in state control in St. Louis City, whether Kim Gardner is there or not, where she would be answering to somebody else. And guess what? Deal with it, because our city, as much as we don't want to say it, it can be a cog in the wheel, and it's an issue. It's a massive issue. So we'll continue to cover that story. Okay, real quick, we got to get to this. Charlie Kirk from Turning Point USA. He was their founder. He travels the country if you haven't seen him. Super intelligent, super entertaining. Nobody beats him at debates. They just don't, because he's talking policy, principle, and truth. not feelings, and how somebody's feeling. 100 protesters last night at the University of California, Davis. They surrounded the venue. You want to talk about people who should be arrested, but once again, not one person was arrested. They were trying to disrupt the event. When he arrived, they were throwing eggs at him. Guy's just trying to go into the place. Eggs being thrown at him. Protesters all wearing black. Who is that, Tabitha?
Antifa.
They were clashing.
Antifa.
They were clashing with law enforcement officers who refused to arrest them. They smashed windows. They were not arrested. They hurled eggs. They were not arrested. So police used pepper spray and blocked the protesters from actually entering the University Credit Union Center where the event was held. It wasn't a peaceful protest. Even Elon Musk jumped in on Twitter and said not a peaceful protest at all about the whole situation with what was going on. So you're not going to hear about this with national media. You're not going to hear about it with local media because that's what happens. But you better damn well know that we're going to cover it and tell you what these people think that they can do to people no matter where you go. It's a small group, minority group, but they're always the loudest and they're violent. You're not going to stop it until you start arresting these people.
That's right.
Exactly my point. It's exactly my point. You can do whatever you want in this damn country. That makes me a libertarian, right?
Well, they're terrorists.
Well, they also
makes me a libertarian. I mean,
well, they spray painted the sides of the wall with graffiti too.
You do anything
Go ahead
you
and
want.
do it.
If you wreck someone
California
else's
police
property,
allow it.
if you assault them, if you do anything that's on camera, and it's all on camera, you go to jail. Your bond is set high. You don't get out of jail, especially these old punks. They don't have any money to get out.
They
of
don't
jail.
go. They don't go to jail. And
Well,
if they do,
and they get bailed
I
out.
understand they
there's
don't.
over a $3 million bail fund set up to bail them
Yes.
out. You know, in these liberal colleges,
Great.
it's
And
a
guess
fend
what?
for yourself. If
You know,
you're
even
Charlie
if you
Kirk.
get bailed out, like Tabitha says,
And
she
these
goes,
are
they got
dangerous
they
people.
got this bail fund. Fine. It still follows you around for the rest of your life.
Cami
You're in the
Harris,
system. Even if you don't go to court, you've now just forfeited your right.
these people don't care. You know, Cami Harris is.
They
she
will care when they're
helped
40.
Raise funds. Not these people will never care.
It doesn't matter,
They're
Tabitha. They should be
anti-government.
You
arrested.
just do
Of
it.
course
It
they should
doesn't
be
even really
arrested.
matter.
But they're not being arrested. And when they are arrested, they're out of jail the same night because Cami Harris raised $3.5 million to bail them out of jail. And what we have to remember about groups like Antifa, they're not just people who cause chaos on campuses. These are the people who the FBI believes are targeting power substations, who are potentially causing some of these train derailments, who are truly a domestic terror organization.
All
the
white
United
people,
States.
or mostly white people.
Yes.
Wearing all black or mostly
Dude,
black.
it's the old
starting,
Neo-Nazis
It
is
is.
what they
It
are.
is
It's the
the
old
emos,
emos
for
from
sure.
1980.
And they
I'm
keep
sorry,
getting by
it's
with
exactly
it.
what it is.
If we would take the
Yes.
cancel this crew and we would all dress in black and we're obviously all white and we went and did it though, we would be in jail.
Eric already has several Antifa jackets.
Dude, let me
Well,
tell you
wear
something.
your Antifa jacket and try it, and I bet your
He's
little
wearing
butt
one
is in
today.
jail.
I will.
They're
Here's the
heavily
only
funded,
difference.
Eric. Heavily
The
funded
only
by
difference
Soros.
between these people in this 80s emos is they used to do Dungeons and Dragons back then. Now they just go harass
No,
Charlie
it's
Kirk.
about money. George Soros funds them. They have, and they're funded by all different types of groups. They have so much funding; it's unbelievable.
It is. It's unreal.
And think about this: if Kim Gardner, let's say, loses her job, we're going to see these Antifa folks come from all over the country here to St. Louis to
Can I
cause
ask you a
chaos.
question?
You're
Can I
going to
ask you
see
a question?
Yes,
Why don't the conservatives, quote unquote, the badasses, quote unquote, the guys that don't take any
because
crap,
they'll go to prison.
Hold on. Why don't they show some balls and go down there and
They
say,
did.
"Hey, Antifa, what's up? What city are you from? San
They
Francisco?
did.
Kick
And you know
ass."
what?
Where are those guys?
They're
at?
in prison because you know what they're called? Oath
Are they?
keepers,
yeah,
and they're
a lot
called.
of them are.
Yeah, they're remember oath keepers.
Well, what about the
They're in
soccer dads
prison.
from West County saying, "Yeah, we don't really want your type out here"? What about those guys that aren't affiliated with anybody?
Again,
Where are the
you
community
would go
leaders?
to prison. You can't stand up against Antifa because if you do, you will go to prison. Just
Well,
like
no, it depends
so
on
many people.
it depends on the city. It depends on the area, Tabitha.
it does not, Vic. It
Yeah,
does
it
not
does.
depend on the area. If it remember in Ferguson, and they had oath keepers protecting businesses, they were threatened that they had to leave or face arrest.
No, that
and they're
was-
out there trying to protect businesses.
That was early in the process. That's
now
kind
we
of what
have
kickstarted it.
Oath keepers and all of the Proud Boys. You know what? Where all these people are? They're in prison because they went to January 6th to stand up for us patriots, for us Americans. Eric, it's unfortunate we don't have anyone to have our backs.
That's scary, but we don't.
We don't.
We don't. Even,
And I
even
don't
in
think
a,
you don't agree, but we don't.
Eric, Jamie from the text line thinks I'm out of touch. Do I sound out of touch? I think I do, actually.
well, I think you sound out of touch to people on our chat line, but I don't think you're out of touch in society. You think
Amongst the
like
liberals.
a lot of
kidding.
people. Well, there's even conservatives
You're not out of touch, Eric.
that
No,
have
you're
their
not.
head in the sand.
Nope.
Yeah.
And you're that person.
It
And
almost seems
and
like,
that's-
Eric, you're trying to create, it's like a call to arms. Hey, we're meeting downtown at the courthouse.
Well,
We're going to welcome everybody, and anybody, come on down. Let's go.
just have
We're
a-
forming
It's
our
like
own
if we
group.
find out Antifa's getting off Southwest airline planes from Portland or wherever they're coming from, it seems like there'd be a lot of soccer dads that say, you know what, we're kind of sick of our city getting blown up. So we'll see down there. Have fun. We'll have fun. We'll just have a talk. But that never, ever fricking happens.
Well, there's very few conservatives in the city of St. Louis. But Eric, if this all of a sudden started to become a massive, massive issue in St. Louis County or St. Charles County, and the call to arms went out, I guarantee, and people felt threatened, or men or dads felt that their families were threatened.
And they are.
Hell freaking yes.
Yeah.
There would be groups showing up
Yeah.
to say, oh, really? We're here to protest against you.
Yeah.
But once again, as Tabitha and Lizzie have always said, it's not in conservatives' nature to go put on a scene.
Not a scene.
Like
we'll bring the beer.
Antifa
We'll bring a
and lot of
keg.
younger
We'll just have a
liberals like
talk
to do.
Because we would go to prison if
you would.
Let's say it wasn't let's say it wasn't Charlie Kirk. If it was some liberal speaker at a college and we got a group together of our listeners and we went and we sprayed graffiti all over the college campus, we attacked them, we attacked their security, we would all be in prison for a very long time.
If it's a liberal city, 100% yes.
Yes.
100%. So that's what's going on. The whole Charlie Kirk situation, wherever, and it's not the first time it's happened, and unfortunately, it won't be the last. The same thing has happened to Ben Shapiro when he has gone and tried to speak at certain events as well.
Correct.
If you try to say anything that the other side doesn't want to hear, or if you even show up, that's what's unfortunate, is that those things continue to still happen. And as much as woke and cancel is being called out for the first time ever, you still have several groups. They're not going anywhere. They're still going to cause problems for people who call themselves conservatives or people who just want to go and have a conference. There is nothing wrong with Charlie Kirk being invited by the college campuses group to have him in. Other groups are allowed to have their speakers in on the college campus. That's where the problem occurs. There's nothing wrong. But these groups don't get called out. If the police aren't doing anything and the media isn't going to call them out, well, then they're going to continue to do what they do.
Why aren't they considered a domestic terrorist
Yeah, they should be.
organization? Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, they've been determined to be domestic terrorist organizations. So why not Antifa?
It should be. Well, look who's in office. It's Joe Biden, and you've got Joe Biden calling out certain situations. You've got Joe Biden going after Ron DeSantis when it comes to transgender surgeries. It's another topic we're talking about. Scotty, when you get a chance, if you can pull up that other video from today, I mean, you've got Joe Biden refusing yesterday on stage to answer questions about the banking industry, and he hobbles off stage. I mean, literally hobbles off stage. You've also got him doing interviews with Comedy Central from Harold and Kumar. I mean, seriously, as if it's some serious interview, going after Ron DeSantis for not allowing any surgeries for trans kids that want to have surgeries. This is the situation where Joe Biden finishes his press conference. Just check this out. Watch what happens when he's asked about banking questions.
California. Mr. President, what do you know right now about why this happened? And can you assure Americans that there won't be a ripple effect?
Do you expect other banks to fail, Mr. President?
California.
Thank you, Mr. President. That's our leader. Can you show that again, Scotty?
I can't even comment.
Mr. President, what do you know right now about why this happened? And can you assure Americans that there won't be a ripple effect?
Do you expect other banks to fail, Mr. President?
I put this on my Facebook
Oh,
yesterday.
my God.
The back of his head should be his presidential picture.
Oh my God.
That's all
That
we ever
is the quote unquote president of the United States.
No,
of
that
America.
is the quote unquote media. The
Oh.
media who is
Oh.
so uncurious about anything these days. They should have said,
'Cause
I mean,
they're
they should have
lazy.
been yelling. They should have been yelling as many questions. It was the only one that said anything in the background was Peter Ducey.
And you hear the voice.
The
You're right.
only
You do.
guy.
You hear the voice.
And look at the picture that's up there right now. Who is this guy?
Okay, that doesn't even look like the same one.
It doesn't. It's not. Is why it's not.
Well, you just have to look at his ears and his beady
Well,
eyes.
here's the other part. This is from Monday night's interview with the Daily on Comedy Central. This is Biden going after DeSantis because DeSantis isn't allowing kids to have transgender surgeries. Kids.
Transgender kids is a really harder thing. What's going on in Florida is, as my mother would say, close to sinful. I mean, it's just terrible what they're doing.
Look at his forehead.
It's not like, a kid wakes up one morning and says, I decided I want to become a man, or I want to become a woman, or I want to change. I mean, what are they thinking about here? They're human beings. They love, they have feelings, they have inclinations that are, it just, to me, is, I don't know, it's cruel. And the way we do it is we make sure we pass legislation like we passed on same-sex marriage. You mess with that, you're breaking the law, and you're going to be held accountable. A transgender kid.
All right, you see those two. Okay, so this is the first one walked out the door. And this is just my opinion. I think that's the real Joe. And he walks out because he's got dementia and he's stupid and he was evil in the day, but now he just can't do anything. This dude if you look at his forehead, I think he's got a mask on. I really do. And this dude is evil, either being paid by somebody, but he's straight from hell. And I know that's strong, but anybody that wants to mutilate children is straight from hell. That's who he is.
I don't even need to pot in on that one. That's exactly right. What was the deal with
close to sinful? He's calling Ron DeSantis and his actions close to sinful.
What was the deal with yesterday? So DeSantis comes out with it. Didn't he show some video online about what happens to transgender kids during the operation?
Correct. That's how he responded, and that's what I was.
Isn't
trying
that what
to
he
pull up
did?
now.
I didn't see it. I
didn't see it. I heard about it.
He showed video yesterday of what can happen to kids.
Yes, that's exactly gangster right there, man. If you are doing something, if you're like, you know what, I'm just going to use your leverage against you. What did you just say about transgenderism? It's morally right. Is that what you just said? Okay, let's run the video.
No,
you know
we
what I'm
don't,
saying?
Yeah, no, he's not saying for you, Scotty. But that's what he's trying to do.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it is so crazy that I've said it so many times that we live in the twilight zone, that we know that there's more than one Joe Biden. We know that it is not okay. Anybody that has the most single ounce of common sense does not take a kid that's 9 and go, oh, they're a human. Okay, little Joe. So now you have a dress on. So let's go mutilate your body parts. I mean, what in the hell is going
child
on?
abuse.
Well, I will look at it today.
Abuse.
I'll look at it today. And here's the deal. Children, and we all know in this room, and it is evil because I think that the people who are pushing this know it. Okay.
They do know
and
it.
here, so that's why it's evil. So if someone says, well, why is it evil? We just have a difference of opinion. No, it's evil because both sides know the ramifications of messing with kids. Number two, a kid's brain, and we've known this for not hundreds of years, but thousands of years, is not fully developed. And the number is debatable. I'll give you that. Maybe it's 18, maybe it's 26, but psychologists believe that we are not fully mature or fully engaged in our mental capacity till the age of 26 years old. So if that's the case, and a 5-year-old comes up to their teacher in elementary school and says, I think I'm a girl, right? Then what that means is that you have 20 some odd years till your brain is fully developed to make a decision that's going to be that life altering and that life changing. And that's where it gets evil. You don't have the capacity to understand.
No,
you don't have the capacity yet, little kid, to understand a romantic relationship between yourself and your future whoever.
And until someone is 18, this should never be allowed. When somebody is an adult and they can make their own decisions for themselves, then they can choose to do whatever they want to do. But it is absolutely child abuse.
No, you don't bring a scalpel out to any kid.
No.
Yeah, maybe their tonsils.
Yeah.
But nothing else.
No, children, like you said, Eric, so perfectly. Children, they have no idea. Look at all the stories of people who said, you know what? I wanted to do this when I was younger, but my parents wouldn't let me. And thank God they didn't, because now I would never, ever have done that. Because over time, my feelings and my thoughts have changed.
But isn't it interesting he chose The Daily and Cal Penn? I mean, literally, Cal Penn, an actor. And guess who Cal Penn is? Cal Penn is a gay man married to a gay man, and and all for these transgender surgeries.
They're
So
pushing
that's
this.
who Biden chose to do his interview with.
Have you ever seen, okay, you guys might not, but I have a granddaughter who likes, and she's 6.5 months old, and she watches something called Miss Rachel. And if you ever pull her up, she's amazing for babies. You don't want babies a lot to watch movies or anything, but she's real cute, and she talks to the kids just like this, like, Mama. But anyway, my point is, when you watch about the 4th or 5th show, I said to my son-in-law last night, there's now a transgender in this video.
Yeah, that's
and so he looked at it and he's like, oh my gosh, they're even messing with infants. They have transgenders now trying to talk to infants. It's okay. The opposite of Mr. Rogers, where Mr. Rogers would say a boy is a boy and a girl is a girl. This dude is literally saying, if you're a boy, it's okay to be a girl, to a 6.5-month-old. That's how early they're starting.
And
Indoctrination,
this isn't
brainwashing.
new. This isn't new.
No, it isn't new.
Because I remember back in my day, Scotty, women would be, and this is, I don't know if you guys saw this, but it used to freak me out a little bit. Women who I knew were completely heterosexual would act like they were lesbians, and it was, to me, what I was told, it was like, it's a fashion thing. They go out in public and they kiss each other and they love each other, and it's like they're a couple, but it's to get attention from guys. And that was told to me. I was like, you know what? That makes a lot of sense. To me, there's an element of this a little bit. It's like, we talk about the emo kids, the kids that are kind of pushed out, shunned over here. This is an outlet for them. This is a way that they can garner attention in high school. This is a way they can garner attention after high school. This is a fashionable thing. If they sat and actually, what was a full individual, they might recognize, I'm a heterosexual.
Well,
but I get a lot of attention.
Help me process through this thought that I'm having. So,
yes,
like when you're a kid, you mimic a lot of things you see on TV.
Correct.
Like you run around the playground, you want to be Bo and Luke Duke or the Dukes of Hazzard. I'm just going back to like my
80s
time.
reference.
Right. So these kids are seeing this on TV now thinking that, hey, yeah, it's cool. But do I want to run around right now like Bo and Luke Duke from the Dukes of Hazzard? No,
Kind of.
I don't.
Oh,
well, yeah, I mean, it'd be kind of
you?
cool. Yeah. I'd love to go back to that time. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But it's almost, it's being forced on them so much. They don't know what they want.
They don't. That's
they
exactly.
have no idea.
I wanted to be Eddie Van Halen, but I can't be Eddie Van Halen.
Right.
I can't.
You're Eric, you're you, and that's okay. I like you.
That's not okay, but
We like you just the way
it's all
you
I
are.
got. But
It's grooming is what's going on. It's grooming.
It's really bad.
And it's trying to naturalize pedophilia is what this is all about. And it's about those people what do they call them? Pedosexuals.
Yes.
It's where they believe that you can, that everyone is the same and everyone, I know there's a word for it about age.
So
age neutral or something.
The
I can't
issue
remember
we're
the term.
digging into here, is it based on the not having the kids have to deal with this? Like if you're 18, hey, do what you want to do. It's whatever. Or is it because it's
fashion?
It is fashion.
I'm sorry, it is. And here's why.
But let's not get caught up. Most kids are not doing this. It's just some. It's
As a matter of fact, most
understood.
So here's the deal.
But none of them should be doing it at that age.
Well, or they shouldn't be indoctrinated.
So here's the deal.
For sure.
Here's the deal. Back in the old days, there was this guy named Sigmund Freud. And he came up with this thing. He goes, the reason people have a sex drive is to reproduce. If you don't reproduce, there's no humans, and it's like a virus, kind of. We're like a virus. We're like a virus. A man and a woman, and a man and a woman are attracted to each other through the id, through the libido, and it's an actual scientific thing. And once you become older, you start to get these attractions through puberty, yada yada yada.
I feel like I'm in sixth grade health class.
Hold on. But let's take the fashion out of transgenderism. Let's just take the fashion out of it. And I'm not saying all transgenders.
You're talking about the trendiness.
In science, There's a reason for a man and a woman to be together, correct? There is. I'm sorry, it just is. It's just to repopulate the earth. Anything outside of that is recreational, correct? Would you agree that putting on a boa and going down to gay pride parades is a recreational thing? It's
Well,
fashion,
it's a lifestyle
correct?
for some people.
And I'm not saying anything bad about that. As a libertarian, as the House libertarian, I'm saying knock yourself out. We used to love
The House libertarian. Now we're a house.
Most gay people, Eric, don't support this.
As the House libertarian, we used to look forward to taking our Heinekens down to Fremont and Seattle, watching the midnight gay bike ride down and just say, "Hey, what's up, guys? How you all looking good over there?" And they were all naked. So we all
We're
had
going to
fun.
get you a sign that says House Libertarian.
I love it. I'll take it.
Most gay people, Eric, do not support this. This is the tiny.
Exactly.
This is the tiny
So
fringe,
if you're really
very
gay,
far left.
if you're really gay, if you are a real homosexual, and there are people out there that are certainly homosexual. I'm not talking about transgender. I'm talking legitimately, like they put on a 3-piece suit, they go have a nice job, and then nobody for years knows that they're actually gay.
Most gay
Those
people
kind of
are
people.
just like we are.
Exactly.
They want the same things. It just happens to be that they have a different like for different sex.
So
And
here's
there's nothing wrong
my
with
point
that,
I'm trying
in
to
my
get to.
opinion.
Let's start putting people in silos. It's time. There's people that there are people that are transgender that dig the lifestyle, and I am super, super happy for them. Usually they're past 21 years old. Okay. There's homosexuals, gay men, gay women. They love each other. I am completely cool with them having a marriage certificate so they get all the tax benefits that we get. Okay. It's just it's a document between you and the state. Fine, whatever. You knock yourself out, have a nice lifestyle. Once you're under 12 years old, here's the other silo.
12?
It's off limits.
12? Is that
18?
At least
18. How about that, Vic? Is that big? Okay.
Yeah, it's a little better.
Okay. 18 years old. If you're in any public institution, high school or whatever, you do not talk to a counselor about getting a sex change.
I don't agree with that.
Okay. We'll be here all week.
You
Don't forget to
just
tip your
totally
bartenders
threw-
and waitresses.
No.
Tabitha,
Good night, everybody. I'm Eric
Tabitha,
Johnson. Bass guitar on vocals. Scotty
Tabitha,
Gherkin.
take the stage. What
I
the
can
hell?
explain because here's the thing. I have met and known a lot
Yes.
of gay people in my lifetime. And a lot of these kids are in a true struggle. There's a lot of suicide and drug addiction and alcoholism amongst kids who are gay, and they need someone to talk to. Now, if they feel like that they have a counselor at school that they can talk to about these things, I have no problem with that. Now, I don't want a counselor guiding them and
That's
telling
the
them,
problem,
yes,
Tabitha.
you need to do this.
See, that's the problem.
I didn't go far enough.
That's the
I didn't go
problem,
far enough.
Tabitha.
And the
I didn't go
problem
far enough.
is that schools right now have counselors who are trying to help these
Here you
kids
go.
get puberty blockers and get sex change
Okay, we're
operations.
trying
Now
to,
you're making Eric's
you're
point.
making my point. Don't say
But
you don't
no.
disagree with me.
Because I think that
You
they do
confused me. I got-
need
you don't get
someone
it
at
both-
school to talk to.
Yes, but that's not the point Eric's making.
My point is this.
He's talking about sex silos and lost me like 30 minutes
if
ago.
a 10-year-old walks into Belle Reve Elementary School's counselor, according to Tabitha over here, if you walk into the counselor's office, the counselor goes, Johnny or Sarah, that's very interesting. I think it's time we get your parents involved. Hi, Mrs. Jenkins. Can you come down to the school? I just had a very interesting conversation with your daughter.
Exactly.
Boom. That's the tactic of how you handle it.
Well,
and
and
then
they
it's,
don't, though. Like Jay on the
Oh.
chat line says, there's a much bigger picture. And Tabitha, I think you were going to that. It's the pedo agenda. Think about
I don't even
this-
know what that is.
Okay, that goes all the way back to what we were talking about. It kind of ties in here to Kim Gardner and the Epstein lawyer. Think
And
about
climate
Epstein
anxiety.
Islands. Yeah, and all that. There is so many people in very high-powered places
Yes.
that are pedophiles. I'm going to call it out. They are.
Okay.
They were on Epstein Island, and they are trying to normalize pedophilia.
Yeah.
They literally are. So
Do you
that
think it's
it's okay to just abuse children and
Yeah.
have sex with children. There is a big
Do
agenda
you think
going
it's
on here.
important right now, and I do, that we find out verbatim what happened on that island? Because somebody
I
knows.
do.
Well, that's a whole nother subject.
No, but I'm
Yes.
asking
We
Vic.
just can't
I'm
we just
asking.
can't do a quick hit.
And the
Well,
term,
well,
No.
it's just the quick hit went over there.
We-
That's why I'm asking.
No,
if there's
that's
a bigger
whole,
agenda.
that's a whole show.
can I throw something
Yeah.
in before we switch topics to Pedo Island?
No.
Is what Lizzie's talking about and what Aaron reminded me of the term I couldn't think of earlier. It's called minor attracted
Yeah, it's
people.
maps.
Yes.
They're trying to normalize adults having sexual fantasies or etc. about children. And here in the state of Missouri, back in the day when we used to interview Eric Schmidt, who was attorney general back then, I asked him if he would do what other states are doing, and that would be to outlaw sex dolls, these pedophile sex dolls here in the state of Missouri.
Sex what?
They're dolls that they look like children.
Oh, okay.
They look like real children, and pedophiles buy them. And it's a step below actually molesting a real child. And many other states have outlawed them.
Where do you buy them?
And here you can
I've
buy them on
never even-
Amazon, online.
Oh, I've never even heard
And
of
here
them.
in the state of Missouri, these child sex dolls are still legal. And someone needs to outlaw them. And I asked him about that. He had no idea what I was talking about. But they are legal here. And people buy these dolls.
Yes.
And then just like serial killers, once they're tired of the little doll, they move on to a real child.
Absolutely.
And it's been proven that what these are for, and no one even talks about it. No one does anything about it. And you can buy them here in the state of Missouri. It's ridiculous.
How frequent are they purchased?
They find them, and whenever you...
I've never heard of this. Despite
if you talk,
because you're not a pervert, Vic.
Exactly, you're not a pervert.
You're not a pervert.
Yeah, but I heard about all kinds of pervert
why I know
stories
about
doing the news.
You know why I know about it? Because I write a crime blog, and a lot of times when children are murdered by pedophiles, they find these dolls in their homes.
So it happens just very infrequently.
No, it happens frequently.
What's
frequently?
You see it
with people who human
what does
traffic
frequently
quite
mean?
often.
People who are pedophiles who rape and molest children.
No, but what
have
are
these in their homes? Just
I
like
get
you
it.
might have porn. They have
don't
these
have porn.
sex dolls.
What?
I'm not saying you specifically.
But what? No,
I don't.
what
I
is
don't have the
frequent?
FBI statistics, but I would say it's often.
I think what we'll do, I'm going to ask
Often.
my daughter who fights human trafficking to
Yes.
come on the show. She can give you statistics.
Yeah, we need to get-
regions,
Often
all of
enough.
that. She
We need to
fights
get
human
stats.
trafficking, so I will bring her
That'd be
on.
great. So we can add some punch to
she's got all the
what's
stats.
actually happening.
It's often enough that these states, other states, including Tennessee, the closest one to us that has done this, close enough that they have made legislation where people in their state cannot buy them. That's how big of a deal it is.
And like I said, we're going to continue to follow what's happening.
And
but
sorry
it's sad,
for grossing everyone out.
but it's sad that Biden, the whole story started, Biden decided to go after Ron DeSantis. Ron DeSantis then showed what's happening to kids getting transgender surgeries. And guess what? National media, the Daily, Cal Penn, they're not showing you the bad stuff that happens.
No,
They're not
wonder why.
showing you the poison. And of course, local news would never, ever attack or go into this except on a story where they were trying to go after, once again, Missouri Attorney General Andrew Bailey, because Bailey was trying to stop Wash U and the hospitals and their clinics from going into hospitals and, quote, recruiting people. But those are stories that are still going on.
Yeah.
And I wish we had better news to get into. Eric brought it up. The San Francisco Board of Supervisors, they met yesterday. 100% unanimous decision. Unanimous. Every single people in the San Francisco Board of Supervisors backed a new reparations bill for any Black city resident in the city of San Francisco to get $97,000 a year for 250 years and a home for just $1. Now, this is what the AP reported that came out of their meeting yesterday. And that would cost non-Black families $600,000 that they would have to pay to make this work, to give $97,000 a year and a home for $1 to 50,000 Black residents in San Francisco.
And they have a $22 billion shortfall in California right now.
They didn't even have a math formula to do this. They just came up with it out of their mind.
They rolled dice.
The chair of the African American Reparations Advisory Committee, Eric McDonald, said, yeah, we didn't have a math aspect to this. We just figured that's a good amount.
And and you're walking down the sidewalk in San Francisco, and there's hundreds of people that are like shooting drugs up their arm and smoking stuff and just right there and peeing all over the concrete. So sure, just go ahead and add the free stuff too. No big deal.
And by the way, this is all while, let's remind you again, the state of California, specifically San Francisco in this case, never had slavery in the state. They never had the tenets of segregation. They didn't have white supremacy or systemic repression. yet they say that they need to do this there.
Yeah.
Well, it's happening right here in St. Louis. I mean,
Well,
are we surprised?
I'm glad that
Come
you brought
on.
it up. I'm glad. Well, Tabitha, it's not a matter of being surprised or not. You always say, "Are you surprised? Are you surprised?"
Our country is like on
It's
the down
a matter
slope.
of reminding people what's actually being done in hardcore liberal
And whose
cities
fault is
that
it?
allow everything. The people that live there.
Here's just a quick map of St. Louis and the sex offender registry.
That's a lot of sex dolls.
Sex what?
Child sex dolls.
I mean, you can't even see the city.
Wow.
No, it is. It's outrageous. It really is outrageous.
Look at the map. Look at the map.
Scotty.
And the closer you get into downtown St. Louis, the more you will see.
Yes.
Look at that.
What is blue and red, Scott? Because there's
If
different
you
colors.
Yeah,
I
if
didn't
you
know if
click on it,
something
that's a sex offender red.
because
blue.
they mean different things. I looked this up before. We talked about it when you look up a housing situation when you're going to move. You should always look up, or even if where you are, look up where sex offenders live.
Well, the red for sure represents sex offenders, and that's a pretty darn red map.
Does it say?
I don't know what blue is.
It doesn't give any description here of what's what. I don't see anything that
And some
defines that.
And some counties don't allow them to be posted on this map, by the way.
That's crazy.
Or some
if you
cities,
look
I
at
should
that
say.
map and
But I don't
the
know what to make
density
of it. There's a lot of bad going on. I guess it's hard to tell blue, red.
Red might have been convicted. Blue might have been accused.
It could be. I know they're all sex offenders because I've looked at
Yeah.
that map before.
Yeah.
Or it could be, certain ages or level 3 versus level 1.
And
Yeah,
if you have
I don't
kids,
know, so I
if you have kids, look it up. By the way, just make sure if you haven't, just you know what your neighborhood is.
You do have to look it up, and it is pretty easy to look up. Before you have a child or a grandchild even go spend the night at someone else's house, you need to look up and see if their name's on there. That happened to me with my daughter that fights sex trafficking years ago. This girl wanted her to spend the night, and I was like, gosh, something just sits wrong with me. So I looked it up, and sure enough, the dad had been in prison for molesting his own daughters.
So how did we get into this again out of the Joe
Just
Biden
unstable-
transgender?
Unstable.
'Cause he said it's
unstable.
sinful.
It's just things are unstable. It's like we are having conversations, and you know what it's like? We are the common sense. We're just having this ridiculously stupid, over the top common sense discussion. A 12-year-old kid comes in, they want to get their wiener chopped off. That's common sense. Nah, probably not a good idea.
No.
That's kind of like a full stop period kind of a conversation for me. No,
be
sorry.
that simple,
Wait till
no.
you're 18 or 21. And then but on the other side of that is this very liberal mindset of where, no, that's okay. I think that's okay. The 12-year-old kid, let's go get your wiener cut off. Let's go to Wash U. And that's where the rub in this damn show comes in for me. It's like, why can't common sense just be common sense?
Because here's why, Eric. The only reason that this quote transgender surgery has gained any momentum whatsoever, and why you saw a local news station, Fox 2, promoting it, is because they had a parent who was promoting it. My child just wants this sex change surgery, and we're starting with puberty blockers because I want my kid to do this. It's the parents.
Child abuse.
It's the parents, Eric.
well,
If the parents
that's
weren't,
very-
if there were not several parents or many parents doing this or wanting it done, there wouldn't be any business for it.
Correct.
It's the
Correct.
parents.
It's the parents.
As you
that
hear me
want
always
this.
talk about, everything starts at home with the parents.
Yeah.
100%, Vic.
And that's why we got to really watch what we put in these kids' heads. I'm telling you, that's half the battle right there is what we put in their heads. I feel like it started with, those violent video games. And then we moved up the ladder to iPhones and iPads. And now we're actually pushing it on them. It's kind of, for a person that likes me, that likes common sense approach, it's like this. You have a $40,000 a year household. Your son comes to you and says, Dad, I have an opportunity to buy a $300,000 Maserati. All I need to do is get you to co-sign on it. The father has a commonsensical conversation with the kid. Do you have a job? No. Do you want me to pay for it? I can't get funded for that. Just put it on the credit card. The common sense is, no, we're not getting a Ferrari because we can't afford the damn thing. Yet the conversation, for some reason in this country, continues. You can't afford the damn Ferrari. You don't want to go into debt when your annual means of paying for that car is like 10 years. You know, you'd have to work every day for 10 years to pay for this car, but we can't stop the conversations. That's the problem that I have, Tabitha.
But we're having the wrong conversations.
It's the conversation is you should not mess with a kid.
You shouldn't mess with the kids, but we got to go back to the bigger picture. There's always a bigger picture. And the bigger picture is that we're making all of these laws and all of these rules. And people always want to say, oh, it's about gay people. It has nothing to do with gay people. We're making all of these laws and all of these rules for the very, very tiny 1%, less than 1% on the very far left. And it's not just the gender stuff and the puberty blockers. It's the reparations.
Do you look
so
at
many
a
things
governor,
are happening. Why is our country,
do you
Eric?
look at a Bailey as a superhero or as Parsons as a superhero? Or do you look at these guys, our AG, that are going after these prosecutors or anybody that's kind of going face to face with these liberals? I look at them as superheroes. I'm like, I wouldn't do it. It seems like it's kind of a dangerous proposition.
They shouldn't be, but he is in this day and age because no one is fighting him. And I'm glad our new AG is.
Yeah.
No one else is doing it.
Why are we allowing all of our rules, all of our laws to be made by the very, very far fringe left? The less, I call it the 2% rule, the 2% over here. And it's not one thing, it's a handful of things.
But Tabitha,
it's everything that's taking our country down.
This is all complex. We're getting into several different issues all over the place. They're not happening in Missouri. So what it's a provincial thing.
It is happening in Missouri. You know what I'm talking about is happening in Missouri, because here in Missouri,
but you have to be
I'm talking about the 2% rule. All of the liberal policies that are being implemented across this entire country. It is happening here in Missouri.
What liberal policy? Yeah, what
there's,
are happening
I don't know. There's like a bazillion.
Well, I need specifics because anybody can say throw anything against the wall.
Because you can sit here and we can throw darts at the wall and find up 1,000 of them.
Policy?
Okay, well,
be specific.
One as an example.
Yes.
One as an example is Title IX funding, because the Biden administration is telling schools, if you don't have bathrooms available for transgender kids, if you don't allow X number of counseling for these kids, if you don't allow all of these options and extra bathrooms and locker rooms and blah, blah, blah for these kids, you'll lose your Title IX funding. That's destroying our schools.
Fair enough, for a public school issue.
And that's just one of so many things that's happening across this country. Biden policies that are geared towards the 2% of this country.
That's a federal policy that has nothing
federal
to do
policies,
with,
correct.
That has nothing to do with the state. So now,
but it's happening in the state.
Okay, but now we understand. This has nothing to do with anything that can be voted on here. That's a Biden thing. So that's
it is a presidential.
So that is a presidential deal. So that has nothing to do with what people can do here.
But in a certain,
nobody has
but to some degree it does. Because,
no, it doesn't.
Yeah, it does. Because you know what? And I don't remember who it was that said this. It was either Eric. It might have been the attorney we talk to sometimes. Somebody said that we have to start bringing things to the state level, even if they're federal, because there are states out there who said, we're not going to adhere to this, Joe Biden, whether you want this or not, we're not going to do it. Sometimes people have to start standing up. Instead of us saying, okay, let's modify all of our schools to meet the far 2% left, we say we're not going to do it. Why does anyone stand up?
It's happening in Washington State right now. Seattle has put together this gun ban law thing, and people in Eastern Washington, the sheriffs are saying, this is bullcrap. We're not following this at all.
Tabitha, the people that you were bringing up from a school issue, though, those are Democrats who are doing that.
Of course they are, but we need
Republicans.
to
The Democrats are with that.
For once, conservatives, get off your butt and do something.
So things are starting to happen, Vic.
Yes, they
Joe
are.
Rogan has started his own comedy club that says, you will not be canceled here. I want your dark humor, and I want to go back. And it's going to.
That's great.
We need tomorrow. We need to get into that tomorrow.
It is. But it's the way of what's happening.
It's a great story.
You have the Jesus What's that new Jesus the film that just came out?
Jesus Revolution.
It is literally breaking box office records. You will not see one of them at the Grammys or at the Oscars next year. You have Joe Rogan.
No, you won't.
You have Joe Rogan opening up his own comedy club and saying, "Screw you," and it's going gangbusters right now. People, this is going to be a new cottage industry, being commonsensical Americans.
You hope so.
I'm telling you.
I hope so as well.
Please, if there's a way that we can invest in this, do it now, because it's going to blow up.
And it started with Roseanne Barr.
Roseanne Barr's another one.
Cancel this.
Yes.
Her comedy tour or comedy night, cancel this. We'll get into that tomorrow. Also tomorrow, Eric, I couldn't find people in the banking industry that were really wanting to jump in and talk about what's going on. But I found a financial advisor we'll have on tomorrow.
Good.
He's out of Omaha, Nebraska, 15 years in the business. He's in town visiting, so we're going to talk with him about what's going on, what to do, what you should be wary of, because we didn't get into it this morning with everything that's going on, but the Dow futures, everything down this morning. When we started the show, it was down about 600 points. I haven't had a chance to look at it.
Things are not looking good.
Yeah, but it was up yesterday.
Yeah, but it takes time.
The Moody's bank report yesterday was staggering.
Bad.
It's
What's
staggering
for the United States.
And there is a run on banks, quite honestly. So it's scary.
We're gonna get into that tomorrow. And before we go, Scotty?
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify real quick the red and the blue dots. The red is the home of the sex offender. The blue is the work.
Oh,
of
yeah.
the sex offender.
Okay.
So I can share that map again real quick.
Why is it that everybody works downtown?
Oh, yeah,
that's bizarre.
Yeah, that's crazy. But that is the differentiating point: is the red is home and the blue is the work of specific sex offender.
And somebody asked where you could find this, and it looks like it's on the sex offender registry.
Yep. Missouri State Highway Patrol Sex Offender Registry.
Guys, thanks for watching us today for cancelthisshow.com. Also, please go check out our website whenever you can. Look at our advertisers, our partners page. If you're going to get anything, please look at what they offer and let them know. Please let them know. Cancelthisshow.com is where you found out about them. They continue to stay. They continue to advertise and help us do what we're doing. You can also donate, cancelthisshow.com, click the donate button, or go to the menu button as well. Scotty Gherkin, Lizzie Sparks, thank you. Eric Johnson, Tabitha Hassel, I'm Vic Faust. Guys, thanks for jumping in for Cancel This Show today. We'll be back with another episode tomorrow. Have a great day.